What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Channel Chasers Podcast Asterisks. Or should I say the new Channel Chasers Podcast? Or is that a spoiler? I don't know. We'll find out.
They revealed it already, so...
No, okay, so real quick, I want to talk about that before we get into the main discussion. Marvel, what the hell, dude? Why are you gonna put that shit in your like posters and billboards like a couple days after opening day, dude? Like,
yeah.
And you know what the funny thing is? They only did that for a little bit, and then they teared it again for a second time to promo Stitch.
Wow. Okay. But
So it was only around for a little bit just to spoil it for the people who hadn't seen the movie yet.
that's so dumb, Marvel.
That's messy.
What the well, that's an L on your marketing team's part. But as you can see, we're here to talk about the Thunderbolts. I know you guys have been waiting for it. I know, like, usually we try to put these out like, you know, the week after a thing comes out. And to be fair, we record these at that time, but like we obviously want to get our backlog out. But I am happy to see that you guys are still checking out our stuff, even if we're not like right on time. Our Daredevil episode did great, at least as of the recording of this episode. It's one of our better viewed ones in a while, so I appreciate you guys coming through on that one.
It's still climbing.
So thank you. We've got
as of recording, it's at 38.
Oh shit, nice. Yeah, we've got a bunch of great ones coming down the pipeline, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, Thunderbolts,
which you've probably already seen by the time this goes up.
Let's hope so.
Exactly. And a lot of things come to like scheduling on our end, outside of actually recording and the process,
and
editing,
and the whole editing process and all that. But of course, you know, we're doing another MCU movie, so we had to bring in our good friend Trash back on the panel to discuss this. We had him on for Cap 4, we had him on for a bunch of other MCU related stuff, and you know, what we like about having Trash here is that, like, you know, we're, I don't want to say we're soft on the MCU, but like, given the fact that like Brian, Tony, and I are like much more like hardcore comic fans, we're more forgiving because we know where they're coming from and likely where they're going.
And also, since we are hardcore fans, we've watched everything leading up to it. Well, almost everything.
Almost there. There is like stuff here and there. Brian, did you ever? Did you get a chance to watch Hawkeye? I don't remember if you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've watched Hawkeye.
I think you talked about this time before. Yeah.
I think the only ones that I haven't watched so far are Eternals and Secret Invasion.
Did you watch Moon Knight?
And Moon Knight.
Well, you don't need to watch Moon Knight. You don't need to watch Eternals either, or Secret Invasion. All the ones you skipped are the right ones to skip.
Trash and I have seen Eternals. Trust me, Brian. Don't do that.
I've seen Moon Knight, and I saw the first episode of Secret Invasion.
I saw Eternals twice. I had to.
Well, technically, you had to see that one for work, so we can't really fault you for the second time.
Yeah, basically. I felt thankfully, also I took a nap during that one, so it wasn't too bad actually.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, so we're gonna be talking about this one, and yeah. This movie is surprisingly not as divisive as I thought it was going to be. At first there was a lot of mixed reviews, but the more time passes, the more I saw a positive reception, even from people that I usually see very, very down and critical on the MCU. Like, you know, I was going to shout this out during screen time, but I will mention it very briefly. Shout out to Captain Midnight. Captain Midnight actually gave this a very good review, and Captain Midnight has been very much scrutinizing the latest MCU project.
I will say this before we get into what we normally do. I would say it's the most consistent MCU film to date. It is editively, well, at least in my humble opinion, as someone who edits quite a bit, it's not bogged down by recent MCU film negatives, shall we say.
No, there are definitely some problems that I'll get into. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you and say that this film was perfect, because that would be totally disingenuous. I have issues, but like, in comparison to the MCU stuff that we've gotten over the past, I would say, like, phase and a half. Like, I would say, because to be honest, everything from Ant-Man up to Cap 4 has ranged from okay to just straight up bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could agree with that.
So like our bars have been significantly lowered because of that, and that definitely plays a big factor. But we'll get into that when we get into the main discussion. So don't worry. But we can't get into the main discussion without first jumping right into the news with Brian. Take it away, Brian.
All right, so interesting story this week. It mostly covers shows that we haven't watched, but I feel like it deserves covering because it kind of is setting the mood for the future and possible change in how TV is working.
Interesting.
Because one of the big TV networks out there is like putting the brake on original programming some.
Which network?
NBC.
Whoa.
NBC has canceled 5 current shows.
Damn.
Really?
That's a bloodbath.
Suits LA, Found, The Irrational, Night Court, and Lopez v. Lopez.
Wasn't you checked out The Irrational, right? That was the one with Joe West as the...
Yeah, it was good. I just never got around to watching season 2 because by the end of the day, it is still a procedural.
Yeah.
But I heard a lot of good things from Night Court. It ran for 3 seasons. That was the Night Court reboot that starred Bernadette from Big Bang Theory.
Ah.
But was also a continuation of the original because she played the daughter of the lead from the original. So they brought in like people from the original to continue their characters, like John Larroquette.
I actually heard Lopez v. Lopez was pretty fun.
Yeah, that one also went for 3 seasons. But there's a reason why they canceled all these shows. And that is because they signed a deal with the NBA. And they will be shifting to airing more basketball in prime time now.
That makes sense. Sports contracts are way more lucrative than primetime television because sports you get a much more consistent audience and ratings. It's why Netflix signing that deal with the WWE was so huge.
I think they said that they're adding like 180 hours of basketball content.
Oh dang!
Like,
Also, this will definitely date the podcast, and I'm the only person who watches basketball on this panel, so I'm the only one who cares. But damn, the Knicks got obliterated tonight. I'm not personally I'm not personally a New York fan. I'm old hometown, so I will always kind of root for them in the background. And I was very surprised because they won the first 2 games. They had this thing where they were coming back from these 20-point deficits, but man, they got clapped in game 3. Shit was ridiculous. So
damn.
Hopefully you'll get them hopefully you'll get them next time, Knicks. I'm rooting for you. I want to see y'all win.
Yeah. As of recording right now, the only NBC shows that I think are safe are the Law and Orders.
What about isn't NBC also the home of all of the singing contest type shows like Masked Singer?
Probably
Voice?
those are safe too. Then.
Yeah, I was I wasn't sure if that was NBC or ABC that does.
I think they've got some of them.
I know I'm pretty sure I know the Voice for sure is NBC.
Yeah, they've got a couple singing competitions and stuff out there. Probably I think Masked Singer is NBC.
Yeah, because I know Masked Singer is either NBC or ABC. I always flip those, but yeah.
But
okay.
Anyway, just thought it was interesting that they're shifting gears some.
No, that is pretty. That is pretty interesting, and I mean, it goes to show the priorities of TV nowadays.
Also, because unless you're an old mainstay like the Law and Orders, mostly people are
the only people tuning in
streaming.
Yeah, and most people that tune into TV week to week are either just hardcore TV people like us or old people who don't know anything else besides scheduled TV.
But so it's an interesting like shift in the times, which is why I covered it. Also, it was a bit of a slow week.
Understandable.
But anyway, that's the news story.
And I'm not gonna lie, yay, no in memoriam. We've had like back to back in memoriam. So I'm glad we get a little bit of a respite. Watch now next week it's gonna be like, oh damn it, Jay, you called it. Now there's like 4 people.
The Masked Singer is Fox.
Oh, Max Anders Fox. Okay, but yeah. All right.
Just
So
Googled it.
moving on from the news, we can now transition into screen time. Screen time is a segment of the podcast where everybody on the panel gets to talk about different pieces of media that they would like to highlight and that they've been like kind of been into or fixated on lately, like within the past week or so. That could range from anything from TV shows or movies that we don't have time to cover, music, video games, anime, YouTube videos, shit like that. First thing I want to start off with is kind of a shared one between the three of us of the OG crew here. It's kind of a revisit of a topic that we talked about because Brian had brought this up to us before and brought this to our attention a couple years ago, honestly, when when this first started popping off. And you know, I gotta tip my hat and thank Brian for this one because like this is shit that was made for people like especially me and Tony. And what I am referring to is of course Epic the Musical, but written and composed by Jorge Rivera Hernandez. It is a electronic pop musical reinterpretation of Homer's classic epic poem, The Odyssey. And it is dope. It is not actually a staged musical yet. Right now, it is just a series of concept albums, which you can find on whatever streaming service you strap in to stream your music on. But it is amazing. But honestly, I would not recommend just listening to the music. This fandom has so many good, like, full-on animatics, some of which Jorge has actually commissioned himself to feature on the live streams that he would do every time he would premiere one of the new sagas for like the concept album. Totally recommend checking out one of those. You know, we recently did a little watch party the other day as of recording this video, where like we sat through and like watched the whole thing in order, and this was like my I think third or fourth time watching it at this point. But man, it was amazing. I love The Odyssey. Odysseus is probably like in my top 5 of fictional characters, fictional protagonist of all time. Like dead ass. I mean, he's one of the foundational like protagonists in terms of like history and mythology. So I love this. I love the interpretations of some of the gods, some of the iconic characters like Kiriki, and like a bunch of others, but especially Cersei. Oh my god, the Cersei saga was such a highlight. Oh my god.
I can't hear it Cersei without thinking of Fate Cersei.
I mean, that's fair, you know.
And there are some, I don't know, intentional or unintentional Fate references in the animatics.
No, there's definitely intentional. There's definitely intentional references. He fucking uses a noble phantasm. You can't tell me that's not a fucking noble phantasm that he does in the one fight. And also,
oh yeah,
in a lot of the different animatics, it's I don't know if it's unintentional or not, but it's a thing. It's a little thing that I've noticed, which is it's a common thing within Fate's character designs as well for all the Greeks. Is they all have elf ears. All the divine Greek characters have elf ears. The pointy ears. If you notice that, if you well, you know, Trash and Tony especially, I'm sure if you've probably noticed that a lot of the divine Greek characters in Fate have the elf ears.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you know, like Kiriki and you know, some of the other gods. But yeah, it's great. If you like electronic pop and you like Greek mythology, do yourself a favor, watch those animatics. It brings you on an emotional roller coaster. And also, even if you're a fan of The Odyssey, there are some changes that they make to it that will catch you off guard.
Yup.
But still keep the overall integrity of the story intact. Brian and Tony, I've yapped a bunch about this. What did you guys think? Obviously, Brian, you know, you were the one that brought this to our attention in the first place. And I know you had even considered auditioning at a point too, when auditions were still open.
Yeah, I was at one point, but I was busy with work and also confidence issues.
Understandable.
So I never actually did, but yeah, I was there back when he was like auditioning all the stuff and trying to get all the voices.
So I know I am nowhere near as talented as a singer as this gentleman. So I would have totally not have gotten the role. But the role I would have tried to go for was Hermes.
Yep, Hermes is you coded.
Yeah, no, Hermes is definitely me coded. Like, I would say Odysseus, but that feels like too much of an ego thing. I'm like, no, Jay, you're not the main character. You're not the main character. You could maybe do a Hermes. You're not the main character.
You're not playing Marvel Rivals.
But yeah, and over the time of I listened to some of the songs through TikTok mostly and all of that, but I've watched some of the animatics on my own.
But yeah, hearing it in full and
never
order,
actually,
what was the experience like?
It was really cool just seeing this stuff, but like, because I knew the story of Odysseus and the Odyssey, obviously, so it wasn't really spoiling anything. But it was just cool to see like the little inner bits and pieces connected. But then finally to like sit down with you guys yesterday and watch all of it at once was great. Like I even told you, Jay, and Tony was there, that it was 2 hours and 20 minutes, the compilation, and yet still I felt like kinda it was too short.
Yeah, like, man, I wanted more. And I mean, like, if you're a musical theater nerd, like, on a technical level, this shit is great. And am I saying this is like a perfect like 10 out of 10 musical? No, but look at it like this though. This was a dude's first ever work. He did this for his master's thesis at the age of 27.
Yeah.
And my God, what a thesis.
This
man
came out the gate swinging. Yeah.
He did all the lyrics and the instrumentals all by himself.
Yeah, he did the lyrics and he composed the book, which is something you don't normally do in theater. Usually, you either write the book and have somebody else handle the composition, or you do the composition and have somebody else handle the book. And it's just what a fucking triumph, man. And like, as a fan of Greek mythology, I'm just so glad that it's opening more people up to see how awesome Greek mythology is.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing. I actually watched a YouTube short. I don't know how to pronounce this gentleman's surname, but his first name is Pat, and he goes into detail about how, in actuality, this is the more accurate way to present the Odyssey.
Oh yeah.
And because they were sung at performances.
Yeah, because that's the thing. That's the thing. A lot of people don't realize is it's not read in the when they say poems, because it is a poem. Poems in ancient Greece were verses, like they were meant to be sung by a horse.
Yep, with instrumentals.
Yep, which is why Homer has dedications to the muse in the very beginnings of both the Iliad and the Odyssey.
Yep, and also you could think of it in this way. Milton's Paradise Lost is very much in the same vein, if you really think about it.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, Tony, as like you're just as big of a history and mythology buff as I am in terms of like the Greco-Roman stuff, and a musical theater nerd as well. So, what were your thoughts?
Most of my thoughts when it comes to the musical, like musically, everything is great. I love the techno instrumental vibes.
Yeah, it's like it very much feels like 80s electropop almost.
No. This is my so this is going to be a comparison that I will try to help make y'all understand, not only for the panelists and the folks at home, because I mentioned this yesterday as of the recording of this episode. And I'm a huge fan of the Seattle artist Blake Lewis, who was once an American Idol contestant famous for beatboxing, the first beatboxer to actually be on American Idol.
Yep.
Came in second.
No, he didn't come in second.
Yeah, he did.
I don't fully remember if he came in second.
Jordan Sparks won that year.
Sparks won.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan Sparks won that year. He came in second. I remember because we googled it when we talked about him, and we did a little search.
I believe that was the season also where Catherine McPhee. No, she wasn't in that one.
No, Catherine McPhee was not in that season. But yeah, it was the Jordan Sparks season, and he did come in second.
Yeah.
Yeah. My point is, the music of Epic the Musical is very reminiscent of what Lewis has done, because he at least 3 to 4 studio albums, and his albums, which I love all 3, they are fantastic. Well, 3 to 4, I don't fully remember exactly. His music reminds me, like, the musical itself reminds me of his music. Like, this is a weird melding of 2 things that I really love: the music of like Lewis and Greco-Roman mythology, all done by one man just doing his college thesis, which is awesome.
The a musical comparison that I would like to make for any of the pop boys and girlies out there: imagine this music is very much if Hamilton did the fusion dance with The Weeknd.
Yeah, that's a fair comparison too.
Because like if you listen to The Weeknd more specifically in his more later like Blinding Lights and onwards era, it's very much within that vein.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the song The Dangerous has so much of that vibe to it. Actually all of both Hermes songs, fucking, you know, Taste of the Power and Taste of the Power and Dangerous both have very much Weeknd type vibes.
And but the cool thing is that each main character has like their own like genre or instrumental twist.
Yep.
To like give them their own unique fingerprint.
And they have like specific motifs. Again, very, very nerdy musical theater stuff, but like it just shows how much effort and passion is put into this project. Like, definitely Trash will show you a few songs. We'll show you a few songs after we finish recording if you've got the time and you want to listen, because I think you'd enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm pretty down.
And the thing about it is, at least from things that I've seen, reactions I've seen, even watching a reaction from an actual vocal coach, is, well, when it comes to the vocal coach, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, so I apologize. I'm apologizing like I'm like she watches this podcast anyway, but the point is,
you never know who comes across our stuff, man. I didn't think dude who played Mother's Milk would watch our first episode where we covered The Boys, but he did.
Fair enough, but I'm just saying on a more...
Yeah.
So, I can't remember. Give me a second. At least I'll find her first name, because I know for a fact I can look that. A second. Where are you, madam? You are... Jennifer. Or Jen.
Okay, cool. And we don't normally do we don't do things today in awesome style like we tried to before, because it's just too hard for Brian to collect all the shit together. But seriously, just type in Epic the Musical on YouTube. You will find an amazing rabbit hole.
Yeah, and you'll learn a lot of interesting things about how... I'll just point this out real quick, because musically, it is for the gods themselves. You feel their presence.
Oh, 100%.
With music.
100%.
And the vocal performances, like in my head, because I visualize everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like the entire, like I really take the Shakespeare quote that all the world's a stage kind of deal.
Yeah.
Seriously. So I picture how, like, if this was to be made into a stage performance, I try to think of like how the blocking would be done.
I mean, same. And oh, Jesus Christ, the role of if it was to be actually staged, can you imagine how demanding the role of Odysseus would be?
Oh, absolutely.
Because like the vocal strain alone, oh my god, like. Because Jorge's the depth of field of Jorge's range on a technical level, and I'm sorry we're getting like super deep in the weeds and nerdy about it, but we fucking love musicals, man.
Like the thing is like we said before, this is very self-made, so it's kind of like the he kind of like put the like Trey Parker, Matt Stone like mythology where
you know, it actually does have that kind of vibe of if you look at like something like the Book of Mormon and shit.
Well, the point that I was trying to get at is in the fact of how they run South Park, where if they can't get somebody to voice a character, they'll just do it themselves. Because if you look online
and you look at the cast list, he does a lot of the monsters.
He does Odysseus' mom. He does Polyphemus.
He does the Lotus Eaters.
Yep.
Oh, and here's the crazy thing. Hephaestus in God Game, which banger song.
Fucking, I still say, like, that's a contender for best song of the show.
You know Hephaestus?
Mhm.
That's Jorge's dad.
Oh, that's awesome!
Nice.
Good for you.
And also for watching Denny Monta's reaction of it, he assumed that the Aphrodite bit was done with autotune. No, that's just the singer's voice.
Yeah, no, that's the thing.
Yeah, she's a professional singer.
So the coolest thing about this, and because it's such a product of the age of the internet, is you can legit go back and see the TikTok duets that they used for auditions for each of these characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like I because I was already following Troy, and I remember seeing his Hermes auditions, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I think one of the toughest ones that they had was Poseidon.
I mean, Poseidon is a really big one for this particular endeavor, for sure.
And like, I think the grit and gruff that was brought to his character.
Yeah,
I think that was something that the actor brought.
And also that role actually, like, the thing that a lot of people don't get about musicals is musicals also always have to have a fine balance of acting and singing. And Poseidon really has to bring that more than, out of all the minor characters that only make like short appearances, his role is the one that has to bring that the most. I believe him and Athena, I would feel like, are kind of tied for that.
Yeah, because they're intrinsically connected to the story of Odysseus.
Mm-hmm.
Because, in two different ways. There's the mending friendship aspect on Athena's side of things.
And then the primary antagonist, like, aspect for Poseidon.
Mm-hmm.
Which, that is another thing that's very interesting, is that, like, this musical, because it's based off of the Odyssey, doesn't really have a continuous driving antagonist. And the splitting into sagas very much, like, fits into the original format of the Odyssey, which is just a nice ode to its origins. And, like, another thing that I want to just kind of highlight real quick before we move on to, like, others, like, the rest of my screen time stuff that doesn't have to do with it, is that, like, it also does not shy away from a lot of the darkness within this story. And, like, it handles its characters with a lot of care. You know, like, in a mainstream, like, I don't want to sound pretentious, but I'm probably going to anyway. In a mainstream musical, they would normally, a lot of the times, especially for, like, your like, you know, big selling ticket Broadway audiences, very much sand down main characters to make them more likable, so that because the thing about theater, a lot of the times, if your main character isn't somebody you can root for, especially in a musical, you're not going to want to watch the fucking musical. You're not going to want to hear them sing about their problem. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But with Odysseus,
but this one doesn't shy away from that.
Yeah.
Case in point, the first song.
Yeah, the opening song just shows you where things are gonna be at, and, like, you know, a lot of these types of stories, you kind of have this, like, you have this constant kind of tug of war of, like, oh, is he gonna turn into a monster? And in the end, the character doesn't. Oh no, this ain't that, sweetheart.
And
our boy becomes a monster, and you'll know it by the refrain, which is one of the most iconic parts of this whole musical.
And there's one thing that was changed from, like, the original poem itself to make it make more sense, is that Odysseus never cheated on Penelope with either of the ladies that he ended up on their individual island.
Yeah, with the two goddesses that he ended up stranded on, like, stranded with.
Which
has payoff and is actually relevant. Like, it's not just a change for change's sake.
I love that moment.
When I first heard it, I was like, oh, that's great.
Yep, because you'll know when you know. And I'm not completely upset with that change, because logically, and how it was weaved, and the payoff to that little intricate weaving actually made it make sense.
It made perfect sense.
I'll give you that. I will give you that.
And it works for the world. Like, that's the thing with adaptations. And, you know, something we'll bring up in, like, today's discussion. Like, adaptations should be about being flexible, right? Like, as long as it makes sense for the world that you are establishing, it does not have to lavishly adhere to source material.
The important thing, in my humble opinion, that the story itself that you're trying to tell should be the primary focus.
You just need to you
Get
just need
that
to focus.
done
Yeah, you just need to
right.
focus on the message, and if you get your message across, then your job's done.
If you're muddled with extra stuff, like we talked about previously, because it was the major criticism that we had with White Lotus. More so,
100%. 100%. Oh, White Lotus.
Yeah.
I hope you guys enjoyed that episode, because me and Tony had a lot of fun just venting our frustrations out on that one. It's one of those rare, like, not necessarily like hated it type shows, but like much more like on the negative side than we're used to, because we tend to try and keep this show mostly positive.
Liked it, but had a lot of critiques.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great
Which,
way to put it, Brian.
The sliding
Also,
scale.
now that we've had more, it's had more time to settle. That's basically the general like consensus for this season. Like, this is the worst season.
Interesting. But yeah, so moving on, I could honestly yap about Epic all day, every day, but moving on to other stuff I want to talk about. Speaking of YouTube rabbit holes, I want to shout out a YouTuber whose content I've been really enjoying lately, who I've been subscribed to for a while, but I've never highlighted on the podcast before. He is a, to keep it related to today's subject, he is a comic tuber that I've come across that has done a lot of interesting videos, named Natrix Nate, and there are two videos that I really want to highlight. Well, three really. He did two videos highlighting two characters that are near and dear to my heart. One on the Forgotten Robin, which is centered around Tim Drake, and talking about the issues that DC and DC editorial have had with Tim Drake over the last decade or so. My boy Tim has been going through it, and one of the things that like he brought up that honestly is my biggest issue with Tim is that, like, I don't care that he was made bisexual. I think it's really cool. I mean, sure, he's a young adult. Him discovering that about himself, totally cool. But you guys, he's also bisexual. That doesn't mean you have to drop the Stephanie Brown romance. You guys spent all that time putting them back together, making us care again, getting us so invested, and just to be like, oh yeah, I'm bisexual now. That totally means that I'm just gonna leave my girlfriend for Bernard, this one rando that I used to talk to in boarding school, who was kind of a dick to me, but I found out he was a dick because he was in the closet. I don't care. Look, I don't know many people that actually like Bernard, but maybe I'm just a bitter Stephanie shipper. I probably am.
Like, so I'll give an outsider's perspective on this, Jay, to maybe kind of help you get an idea. I don't know how much this helps, but think of it like this, Jay. What's one of our favorite things? One of our shared things, not only with you and I, but you, Brian, and myself. What's the one thing that we love to watch all the time if we get the time to hang out together?
Power Ranger stuff.
Not just that.
Oh.
We like our trashy.
Trashy TV, trashy Netflix TV. Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
exactly.
Yes, we definitely need to get back into that. But yeah, you're right. Like,
What's the one thing in like dramas, or more specifically YA novels, what's the one driving force for shit like that?
Oh yeah. Yep. Like competing ship. No, that's fair.
So you don't have to be a bitter Stephanie shipper. You just think, man, this Bernard guy kind of sucks, but if I need to see what's going on here with this.
Yeah. Look, and I've tried. I've given Bernard a fair shot. I actually like like a lot of the like newfound like sexuality awakenings to some characters. John, it was never really explored, so that's kind of interesting. I think that's cool. Bobby's was just out of nowhere. Tim's, I could actually see that. It was a running joke that he was low-key, high-key gay for Connor. Like, everybody referred to Robin, to Tim as Superboy's boyfriend, like, within the fandom. Like, so, like, I wasn't against him being bisexual. I was against him just dropping Stephanie like a hot potato.
Yeah, and when you're young like that, and you kind of discover parts of yourself that you really want to explore, you also unintentionally, a lot of the time, hurting those that you were close to initially.
Yeah, and look,
And I think that's
and
kind of the most weird thing about that.
And as long as they eventually come back, I'll be okay. But right now, I'm just angry about it. I've invested too much in Stephanie and Tim to just let this be okay that they're not a thing anymore.
Hey, look.
Now, granted,
listen.
I have plenty of stuff where Stephanie and Tim are a thing. There's an amazing Robin run, Red Robin run, the Stephanie's Batgirl run, fucking Wayne Family Adventures. One of my favorite moments of all time is them spying on Duke on that date.
My brother, we also watch romance anime. You and I both know angry we.
Yeah, no, that is true. We do get very emotionally attached. But also the other video I want to highlight is the one where Natrix Nate talks about Nightwing. And one of the things that I think not as many people talk about with the Boy Wonder is that, like, a lot of the times, especially within like recent years, so many people have kind of like, and you know, this is coming from a huge fan of Nightwing. Like, a lot of people have kind of like oversimplified Nightwing and kind of just like super gassed him up to make him this just awesome, near perfect character. But a lot of people forget that like Nightwing he is, you know, Batman's greatest success story in the fact that like he is everything Batman should be and could be. He is a better Batman in a sense. But at the same time, Dick has inherited a lot of his father's worst qualities, and sometimes in an even like to a worse degree than Bruce. Dick Grayson, if you look at Dick Grayson, when Dick Grayson is pushed to his lowest, he is worse than Bruce. He is more detached. He pushes people away even more. He's more duplicitous. He's more down to lie, to deceive. I mean, case in point, you know, Brian, you'll definitely understand this. Look at Young Justice, right? Like, Young Justice, one of the first things that one of the biggest moments that he has is like him having that therapy session with Canary and being like, you know, I realized I don't want to be the Batman anymore. But what happened in season 2, Brian? What happened in season 2? He lies to his entire team, fakes a friend's death, does this whole elaborate scheme, very much like fucking Batman.
Yep.
Like,
and all for the greater good of trying to find.
Yeah, like the fatal flaw. Each of the Robins. This is something Nate pointed out that I really agree with, and I like really love that somebody's actually highlighted. Each Robin has taken on some of Bruce's greatest strengths and also some of his greatest weaknesses. So for Jason, he has taken on Bruce's just kind of like tenacity and his just like willingness to just never give up on something when he's, you know, when he knows something needs to get done. That's Jason. That's his greatest strength. But also his greatest weakness is getting too emotional and letting those emotions control too much of him. And a lot of people think of Bruce as this cold, calculating person, this bat god, but that's not Bruce. Bruce is super emotional. Bruce tends to play things a little too close to the vest a lot of the times.
Just think about Alfred.
Yep.
If anything ever happens to Alfred, Batman just basically shuts down.
Exactly. Tim is the intellectual one. He's very much a like 10 steps ahead type of character. But the thing with Tim and his biggest weakness is that he is over prepared, and that like he kind of lets his plans kind of give way, and he isn't as open to adaptability, which is something Bruce has, you know, learned to overcome, but still kind of struggles with. You know, if you look at something like all his contingency plan.
For Tim, Tower of Babel is just like a Tuesday,
right? And you know, and last but certainly, of course, Damien. Damien is the prodigy. He's skilled just like Bruce. He's skilled at a wide variety of things. But the whole thing about that is, it leaves him as a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And that's where both Damien and Bruce's flaw is there. With Dick, his biggest flaw is that he is very much a mission man. Like, when he's pushed and when he's at his lowest, he will be a all about the mission type of person. Like, everybody knows him as quippy, quippy Bat family member. But when shit gets serious, he is just as intense or even more so than Bruce. Like, he picked that bad habit up from his dad, very much so.
Like, the boys have learned a certain aspect of their father and just really made it a thing of theirs.
Which is also like a big thing with Dick, that he like kind of comes in conflict with a lot of his friends and allies, which Batman does all the time as well. He's a huge fucking hypocrite. Huge fucking hypocrite. He's very much a rules for thee and not for me type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's a big issue that he deals with, that like Nate brings up, and it was a really good, well thought out video. If you want to learn more about both Tim Drake and Dick Grayson's characterization, highly recommend those videos from Natrix Nate. Other stuff that I checked out that I thought really were fascinating was Nate did a video on like who he believes are some of the best legacy characters, and he highlighted 4 from Marvel and 4 from DC. I know for sure the DC ones he brought up were Hal Jordan, Barry Allen, Wally West, Dick Grayson. I don't remember the 4th one. And the Marvel ones he brought up were Laura Kinney, Miles Morales, and Danny Ketch. I don't remember the 4th one for that one as well. I disagree with Danny Ketch because Danny Ketch is a fucking loser.
Yeah, Danny. Oh, this was the when it comes to legacy characters, right?
Yeah. Legacy characters video.
Saw that.
Yep.
I saw that. I didn't finish it, but I started watching it, and to be honest, it was.
I commented on it. I'm like, there's a legacy character that nobody ever brings up, but I think is the greatest legacy character Marvel has ever had. And Marvel is notoriously bad for legacy characters. Johnny Storm. Johnny Storm is the greatest legacy character on Marvel's roster.
That is true. Technically, you're correct. And listen, I stopped watching the video because for me, it's all about like the vocal presentation.
Oh yeah, and I feel that.
I couldn't get locked in. It's no offense to the creator. It's just his voice never really connected me. It just kind of.
No, I understand that.
Negative vibe in my brain. It's a Tony thing, not a production.
Yeah. Not an issue with Natrix Nate's actual content, but
no, the actual content's actually good, because when he was talking about Dick and how he took on the mantle of Batman, it made sense. Because I agree, content of it. It's just the voice, man.
Yeah, the voice. His voice didn't click with you. I can get that. And then one last video that I want to highlight before I pass it on to Brian. I'm sure Tony, since you're a fan of this creator as well, you probably have seen this also. Comic Drake, my boy Drake, put out a video recently about everybody's favorite thick-thighed tank, and he actually did a video discussing how much Emma Frost is worth in her diamond form. And
I have not.
Really fascinating. I highly recommend checking it out.
I have not seen that myself quite yet, so I'm kind of saving a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's a very fun one, because he has an actual like diamond dealer who like knows all about like the different specificities for cut, clarity, color, all that. And so like they take all the 4 C's and they speculate on the projected worth of Emma within her in her diamond.
I mean, if you can really think about it, like her overall net worth should be added, especially if we include the diamond form.
Oh yeah.
If you
This is less like speculating on her net worth like as a businesswoman, and more so just how much her diamond form would be worth, considering.
No, that's what I'm saying is that it would add to the net worth.
Yeah, it definitely would. It's really interesting because like they take into consideration like how much she weighs, how much that weight is per carat, and like different things like that. And I learned a lot of really interesting things about diamonds and like the different colors and facets of diamonds too. Like as someone who is like financially challenged, like I will never see anything like this in my actual life, but it's really cool to like actually hear about this shit.
Yeah, and one thing that I find very fascinating, just a small thing about myself, I like looking and understanding weird, esoteric, or just random topics.
Yeah, same.
That become weirdly fascinated by, and gemstones are one of those things.
Oh yeah.
Now, I don't have much on it, but the aesthetic of certain gemstones. Look, there's a Yu-Gi-Oh deck that I main a lot of the time, and it pissed people off. Mostly this guy.
Oh god, I hated that Gem Knight deck. I still hate the Gem Knight deck.
And I love the aesthetic of how gems could be ornamented in armor and whatnot. Like, if you think of like the most famous crown in medieval history, the crown of Charlemagne or the Holy Roman Empire, like the Holy Roman Emperor, that is still to this day it exists to this day. It's in Germany, and you could still see it, and how awe-inspiring and how somewhat ugly it looks, but the gemstones on that thing, mwah, beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful gemstones.
It's a really fascinating video, and like if you're into really weird niche topics, and also you just want to learn more about Emma, and like because as Drake does, he will also sprinkle in bits of the character's history as well. Which, like, the funny thing is, he makes a joke, it's like, we should never ask for it's obviously it's rude to ask for a woman's weight, but thanks to the Marvel's, like, all the character guides Marvel puts out, we do have it on file.
Yeah.
Which man, yeah, no, like actually, like, seeing Emma's measurements is like, yeah, no, everybody thought the thick thighs were just a Gooner character design. No, it's comic accurate, guys. Sure, like, a lot of artists do tend to draw her a little bit more petite, but most of the time, Emma is very vivacious.
Yeah, Emma is sick. Especially in the department.
Oh yeah, in a lot of departments. In a lot of departments. She spent a lot of time, money, and effort to get her body in the right condition. And surprisingly, none of that is with cosmetic surgery. Although a lot of people assume it.
I feel like she would actually prefer to be natural. Like, even if everything else is unnatural, I feel like her body herself is something that she wants to keep.
Oh
natural.
she takes a lot of pride in it. Like, that's the thing I love about Emma is that a lot of other people don't understand, that I think a lot of people overlook about a lot of these, like, quote unquote overly sexualized type of characters, is that, like, she's not, she does this because she knows she is her. She knows she is a bad bitch, and she's walking around in her underwear because she's like, yeah, go ahead, look, get distracted. You get distracted for a second, you're getting a diamond fist to the face, or chokeslam, whichever you prefer. I know a lot of you prefer the chokeslam. The Marvel Rivals community definitely shows me that they prefer the chokeslam. I don't care what the squishies say, they definitely like the chokeslam. But yeah, so that's pretty much everything that has been kind of like gripping my mind within the past week or so that I wanted to highlight. So Brian, passing it off to you, and then we'll move on to Trash, and then Tony.
Well, since we only talked about a movie, since I only had to watch a movie for preparation, I did end up watching quite a few, like, little things here and there, so I'll try to shotgun it. Continuing to listen to Destroy All Monsters. One thing that I didn't mention before about it is they have a partnership with BattleBard.
Oh, nice.
Which is this like streaming service, not streaming service, but like subscription service is the term I was looking for, where it gives you like music, ambiance, and like special effects that you can add to your D&D game.
Oh, cool.
So they add that to, like, when they do the one shots. Also, in a recent episode that I listened to, actually featured, of all people, as a guest, Anthony Rapp.
Oh, dope.
But they actually never address his Broadway career.
Really?
Really. They focus on D&D, and also the fact that he was in Star Trek Discovery.
That's kind of crazy. Like, not even like a Rent reference or joke?
No.
Whoa. I would not have that kind of restraint. I would be making Rent jokes all the time.
Yeah. Also, one other cool thing about this is their one-shots all depend on, like, what kind of creature it is. Like, if it's not a hostile creature, then sometimes there won't even be combat, like, in the one-shot. Like, in a recent one that I listened to, where the creature was what was it? Sorry.
No, you're fine.
But basically what this creature is if someone, usually a wizard, it's called a Nothic. If someone, usually a wizard, finds, like, old like knowledge that they're not supposed to know, sometimes their brains can't handle it, and they turn into a Nothic, which is like a one-eyed golem-esque creature.
Interesting.
That can, like, read thoughts and, like, sense magic, but can never actually use it. So it's like a tormented existence, kind of.
That does sound like a unique form of creature.
But they aren't, like, exactly evil. So that was interesting. Also, continuing to watch Free Ren. I think the latest episode that I watched was Stark's birthday.
I think there I think there are 24 episodes, right?
Yeah, and I'm getting into the middle teens.
Nice.
Also they ran into the elf, the other elf, the monk.
Ah.
And also had the demon arc, which is like one of the biggest cases that I've seen lately of dick measuring contests, but it was between two women.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
But
I know exactly what you're referring to.
Yeah, but so that was cool. Also, new episode Drop Off of Game Changer on Dropout aired. This one was earnestist. It's they brought in three of their most like goofy, silly people, Allie, Zach, and Lisa, and like forced them to be as earnest as they can.
Oh, so like they're forcing like a bunch of goofballs to play the straight man. Interesting.
Yeah, you can do like bits and be as goofy as you want when it's not your turn, but when it is your turn, you have to be serious. And the challenges included writing a poem, singing 20 seconds of Kissed from a Rose because they bought the license for it.
How can you do that without? Oh man, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that without goofing.
And
Cause I just imagine the music video in my head, and I'm just like, oh, you can't do that without being silly.
And then they also like had to dress up in costume and do like actor auditions for Heath Ledger's Joker.
Oh my god, speaking of which, I just realized that Kiss from a Rose was also on a Batman soundtrack.
Oh right, that is a weird coincidence. But yeah, so it was fun to see, and very interesting. Then watched the latest episode of Doctor Who, the one where everyone thought Anansi was gonna be
Was he
the
not in it?
villain. Without spoiling, it's a little bit more complicated than that.
Gotcha. How many episodes are
But-
gonna be in the season? So I know when to start watching.
I think it's gonna be 8 like last season.
Okay. And what episode are you on, or what episode just came out?
I believe 5.
Okay, cool. So like, I'll check it out in a few more weeks.
But yeah, this one actually like finally addressed the elephant in the room.
Mrs. Flood?
That he is I meant like they're kind of with this season with Miss Flood, they're kind of taking the Susan Twist angle with her,
Gotcha.
like slowly giving it to you, hinting it until they're gonna finally address it in the finale.
Gotcha.
Hopefully. But this episode, he was in Africa.
Ah, okay.
And they actually brought in an African writer to write the episode, and like I think director.
Okay, interesting.
And so it like actually got into like how like he's the first black doctor. Like they actually addressed that. That's the elephant I was referring to. Because they hint at it in the one where they're
Yeah, the Beatles episode.
yeah, but this one they actually like fully go into it, and they also address barber culture.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because a big spot in this episode is a barbershop in Africa that the doctor loves going to because he can feel like himself and feel like he belongs.
He does always have pretty clean. He does always have a pretty clean shape up.
Yep.
So.
Which apparently the TARDIS can do that for him, but he prefers the community.
Yeah. I mean, you know, as somebody who personally loves their barbershop experience, totally relate.
Yeah.
Shout out to my homie Al, who's my barber. He's a huge comic nerd who is constantly asking me. He's like, man, I should come on your podcast. I keep extending the invite, buddy. You just never actually hit me up. In case you're listening to this, the invite's always on the table. Al's a huge comic book nerd, so we always, whenever I'm in the chair, we always talk about like the latest movies, TV shows, all that shit. Cool.
Nice. Like to finally meet the infamous Al. But last and honestly certainly least, I checked out that Netflix rom-com, The Life List.
Oh.
One with Sophia Carson
Oh yeah.
and Connie Britton.
Was it just kind of meh? Was that the one? Was that the one where she's Connie Britton's daughter?
Yep.
And what was it like? She's like her mom's like a former addict or whatever, from what I remember correct.
No, her mom died and left her video will
Oh yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
What was that thing?
Okay. Gotcha.
If you want your inheritance, you have to complete this list that you made when you were 13. One thing that the trailer doesn't tell you, which makes that all the more fucked up than it already was,
Okay.
is that she was working for her mom in her mom's company.
Okay.
And everyone thought that she was being groomed for it, that she was going to take over when the mom passed away.
Makes sense.
In the mom's will, she leaves it to her sister-in-law.
Ooh.
Leaves the company to her sister-in-law. And not only that, but then she said that one of the first things that the sister-in-law has to do is refill the position that Sophia Carson has. So not only did she make her daughter go on this grand
She got
adventure
fired?
first,
Jesus Christ.
so she has no job.
Jesus
And also
Christ.
to like save money and to help everything with her mom because her mom was sick, she moved in with her boyfriend who they did the trope where the main character starts off with a boyfriend that none of the family likes but seems normal until we're told not to like him, so he starts making
He starts doing dumb shit.
yeah, they did that.
Okay.
And they
Doesn't that
also
sound
do a lot.
familiar?
Yeah.
They do a lot of other cliche things that we hate from rom-coms. Like, we find out that the reason why she's had such a tumultuous relationship with her father is because he's not actually her bio father.
Oh.
Yeah, I know exactly what Brian's talking about. I may not have seen this film myself, but there's a YouTuber that I subscribed to, and this gentleman, gay as hell, he owns this shit, by the way. I can't remember his name, but his first name is Rob. Funny man. He talked about this. He proposes that this movie was just made by AI.
Oh, that's funny.
It kind of feels like it. It does kind of feel like it. Because she does actually meet her biological father, and he's not a horrible guy, but he also ghosts her.
Ooh.
And so she's forced to reconnect with her bio dad. Also, going ahead and spoiling it, because probably never gonna watch it. They pull off a trope that we hate, probably as much as we hate the misunderstanding.
Oh, something that we hate as much as just talk to each other, idiots.
A cheating plot.
Oh God.
Where the where the main couple get together while she still has a boyfriend.
Oh my. So
Yes.
instead of just breaking up like a rational person, she just. Oh wow. Yeah. I do always hate these kind of plot lines.
And also, make it even worse, he was in a relationship but broke up earlier that day.
Okay, so
But
he
didn't tell her before they hooked up.
Oh, okay. So you just decided to make it extra messy for no reason. All right.
Yeah, and they did the whole trope of the girlfriend sees how the two interact and breaks up with him so they can be together. Yeah, this very much feels like AI. It's also the one other thing that I really hated about this was it reinforced two stereotypes
Okay.
that I hate.
Okay.
One is you're not happy if you're not living your dream.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Like people have jobs that aren't their dreams, but they're completely satisfied with them.
I'm told I never expected to work with marine life. Here I am. I'm cool.
Yeah, me too. And then
Like-
they also stereotype is that men and women can't just be friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the dumb
that is
thing.
some of the dumbest shit.
It is because every man in this relationship is either in this movie is either every like named male character in this movie is either her ex-boyfriend, one of her love interests, her brothers, or her fathers.
Ah.
And also Jay, he wasn't even the main love interest, but the song that we learned from TikTok, she goes against
Oh.
the "Don't fuck your coworkers."
Oh
Hey.
no.
Yeah,
No. You should always you should always follow the lyrics of that song. You don't fuck your coworkers.
And the coworker that she gets with is the guy that is clearly a good guy that she gets with, but is not quote unquote the one that she loves. And they don't even address the awkwardness that is going to come after she has to go back to work and see.
Nice pun.
Well, she's going to have to go back to work and see him and interact with him, even though she's now gotten with the man that she told him not to worry about.
Oh,
Man, that's hella awkward. If I was homeboy, I would just quit.
But yes,
Yeah.
Sophia Carson and the main cast tries to like elevate this as much as they can, but the script is just not great. And yet again, in a weird trend that keeps happening, Connie Britton is just playing horrible characters.
Oh man, maybe she's just in her villain era. I don't know.
I don't know, because between 911, White Lotus, and now this, because her character in White Lotus as season 1.
I've heard. Well, after Tony told me about it, I went and watched some videos talking about the other 2 seasons. And yeah, I agree with Tony. I don't think this show's for me.
Yeah, when it comes to certain things, we'll dig into it and deep dive like a crazy person and root around the earth like I'm a pig hunting for truffles.
But in others, you just let sleeping dogs lie.
It's just like, nah,
Exactly.
I'm good.
Exactly.
I may check out season 4 depending on who's in the cast, but yeah, viewers at home do not expect a episode about season 4.
Yeah. At most,
Or-
at most, you might get a Brian screen time recap.
Or to really test our fortitude, if we're really going to be that masochistic about it, or we're in just a slump of we don't have anything else to watch.
This is gonna be nothing in case of nothing in schedule break glass show.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm down.
Break glass.
Also, like I said before, it all depends on the cast, because I feel like with the lesser cast, this last season would have been even worse.
Yeah, that's true. Because Walter Goggins really carried that.
Yeah, he did. But one thing I will say,
and honestly, even though I didn't like her character all that much, Parker Posey was kind of hilarious in a horrible way.
yeah. And all I'm saying, also location is a big factor too.
Oh yeah,
So-
not that Thailand wasn't beautiful, because Thailand was fucking gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm saying location for the White Lotus Hotel should always be important.
Oh yeah.
I want to see it for the location more so than some of the cast members, personally.
I don't know where they're gonna go next season though, because they've gone to Hawaii, they've gone to Italy, and now Thailand.
We'll see.
It may be similar, but from what family members of mine have said, Greece is beautiful.
I've always wanted to go to Greece. Although, like, I've heard like certain parts are like super dirty.
Oh, which by the way, that does remind me. I keep forgetting to mention. If you follow them on social media, Jorge and the rest of the cast of
Epic the Musical.
Yep. They just recently had a like group vacation to Ithaca.
Oh, that's awesome. That's on my like travel bucket list. I've always, ever since me and Tony like did some like fucking Google deep diving into Ithaca for our for our fanfic story, for our Wonder Woman related fanfic story, I've always wanted to go. Cause like we did some research into like Ithaca's like tourism board and like their hotels and stuff. Cause like not to like super deep dive into fan projects, but like, you know, part of the secret identity for one of our characters is that he runs a hotel.
Oh, nice. Hopefully things go smoother for him than it did for our favorite little security guard.
Same, yeah. It can only go up from there, right? Yeah. Anything else you want to highlight, Brian, before we pass it on?
No, that's
Trash?
it. I'm done.
Okay, Trash. Is there anything in particular you would like to highlight that you would like to, you know, bring up to the audience that you wanted to know about?
Honestly, there's not very much. I think the only thing is I've been watching Gundam G-Quux, and that's been very good so far.
Nice.
The only issue I've been having with it is that it feels very short. But I guess that's maybe a good thing, considering that just means that I'm enjoying it too much.
Yeah, that's fair.
So it's basically just an alternate, an AU version of the 1 Year War, where Zeon wins the war.
Oh.
And,
so it's that war in the pocket. So it's like an alternate version of like the war in the pocket kind of timeline.
Kind of, I guess, just because I think that was considered 1 Year War, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty. So it's basically like where it diverges is basically Char ends up getting the Gundam instead of Amuro.
Oh, that makes sense.
And so outside of that, like it basically just follows this girl named Machu who finds this homeless guy and ends up liking his artwork, and that ends up going crazy. And she also finds like some smuggling girl who's using like smuggling to get money. And so it's basically this rich girl, homeless guy, and this I guess immigrant girl like trying to get money to Earth by fighting in Gundam fights. That's basically like kind of like G Gundam in a sense.
Interesting.
And so yeah, that's where it is so far. It's only like 4 or 5 episodes so far. It's not like, and it had a movie that I watched like a while back that they had it in theaters. It's basically just mixture between episodes 1 and 3 or 1 to 4. Yeah, 1 to 3, and it just shows a little bit more of like the background and how it happens.
Gotcha.
But it's really interesting, fun, and outside of that, there's also they announced EU5, Paradox's new sequel to EU4.
Yeah, me
One of my favorite newer games.
Me and Tony were talking about Europa Universalis.
And it looks really fun. It just seems like a lot of YouTubers have been able to get their hands on it.
Yeah,
Specifically, if anyone wants to hear, like,
yeah, I know Tony's been super hyped about, because Tony's really been down the Paradox rabbit hole recently.
Interesting.
Yeah, Tony's trying to do like a big mega campaign that's spanning like multiple of the games.
Yeah, that's gonna be very difficult. But I guess Tony's starting with Crusader Kings 3.
Where did you end
Or
up? Where did you end up starting, Tony? Like how did I know you're still kind of in the process of building your mega campaign, aren't you? You're on Vicky now, right? You're on Victoria 3. I guess we'll wait for Tony to come back for his response. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so that's that I'm just incredibly excited because I have almost like, I think I have like 3,000 hours in EU4.
Nice.
So there's that, and then there's also I play a bunch of other Paradox games, but the EU franchise is one of my favorites.
I spent a lot of time in CK3, especially after I got the Game of Thrones mods for CK3.
Yeah, I haven't played CK3 very much.
CK3 is fun. CK3 is a lot of fun. Unless you pick certain empires, then you decide to put yourself through pain.
Yeah, because I would usually play Poland, and that was a lot of pain.
Oh, dang.
Dude, so
Poland.
Well, that's one thing I trash, that you're also a Paradox interactive player too.
Sorry?
I also play Paradox interactive games, like Jay said.
Yeah, it's really fun. Like I was super excited, and I saw like a bunch of the YouTubers. I've been following the Tinto Talks since they started like last year. So
yeah, I noticed that late. The social streamers did a live stream about the release of the announcement, I should say, of EU5, and it looks good. They're still working on it, but it would.
Go ahead. Sorry.
That's what I'm saying. My opinion is that it's also part of one thing I was going to talk about during screen time, because it looks great.
Absolutely. And I really love what they did with it, and I really love the kind of the stuff they're preparing for it. The only thing that I really dislike is that they made Cardinals buildings and a bunch of other stuff, and I feel like that just doesn't fit very well.
Yeah.
And that the Pope cannot, for some reason, assign Cardinals, which is also very weird.
That doesn't make any sense. That's not how the process works.
So it's just one of those things that they have to fix. Outside of that, like, it looks really good. I like the gameplay. They just need to fix some of the balancing issues, and I think a lot of people I think the UI needs a lot of work, but yeah.
That's the thing about how Paradox did this with EU5. They want our feedback. Even though we don't have access to the game itself, they're just using these content creators as kind of a vehicle for us to kind of see a little bit, and then they could just latch onto those criticisms and really make this game perfect,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm really excited about too.
Because with Paradox, they are really listening to us. In fact, a lot of things that they do for their other games, especially on the CK3 side of things, which is what's got me into playing a lot of Paradox interactive games, is that they listen to feedback. I mean, the whole chapter 4 is just fan feedback, because they listen to a lot of modders, and specific, because that's how we got monuments in CK3.
Oh shit, we have monuments now?
They have monuments. That's because they talked to a specific modder about it.
Oh, that's
they have monuments in EU4 definitely too.
Yeah.
They have monuments in a lot of games, and it's just one of those like things that they all decided to do, and it's great. And I like how they're listening with this game too. It's just like, it is really good. That's why they have the Tinto Talks, and it's just very exciting, honestly.
And because recently, as of like last month or so, they released the Mongol DLC for CK3.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me that.
No, they did, and they actually did the whole setup of how they make that function and work. Because
I'm not gonna re-download it. I'm not gonna re-download it. We're not. I need sleep. I need sleep.
That's not the thing I'm excited about. Because
I also heard that the Mongols are incredibly overpowered, even more so.
I mean, they should be.
With the DLC.
Trash, Jay. Listen to me when I say this. Even though I haven't purchased that specific DLC for myself, one thing that was carried over, even though you don't have the DLC, you can make confederations, which is a thing when you're an independent ruler and not having like a duchy title connected to yourself. I'll explain it like this in terms that Jay will get when it comes to my time playing CK3. Always play in Ireland, because that's where most of my ancestry is. It is so much fun now to make a confederation in Ireland in 867 than it is when I first initially played. It is hilarious.
Man, see, I'm not,
It's-
again, like I told you last time, as cool as this sounds, I'm like, if I fucking go back down, if I go back down this rabbit hole, I don't know if I'm gonna come back again.
Understandable. Listen to me when I say, unfortunately, Jay, there might be one thing that will draw you in, that temptation that will exist. Because Chapter 4's DLC has a lot of cool things.
Alright.
Because after the Mongols, they also have coronations.
Ooh.
Coming soon after, but the biggest thing is, of course, adding all of China and Asia. Mhm.
Oh
Mhm.
man. Oh man. Oh shit. Shit.
With a new government style called homogeny, which is the king, like the mandate of heaven, for specifically.
Oh man.
But that won't come out until much later in like the cycle, like different quarter.
Oh, I
Yeah.
have to. I'll watch videos about it. I can't do it as much as I want to. I can't do it.
Or you can just hear me or Trash, whichever was first.
Cause
Talking about Mike.
Man, I want building something in China or Japan. Japan just sounds so cool. But yeah.
And specifically the area and the eras depicted in CK3. Yeah,
So
it's going to be.
So is there anything else you want to highlight, Tony? Since we kind of already transitioned into you, since that was really all Trash wanted to talk about, anyways.
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay, cool. Well, great. So that concludes screen time. So now we can jump into our next segment, which is of course Trailer Talk. Trailer Talk is a segment of the podcast where our boy Brian here has gathered together six brand new trailers out of the recording of this podcast. And we will take a quick second, for those of you at home, take this second to pause this video. Check out that playlist down below that Brian has provided for you in the description, so you can check out those trailers for yourself. And then as soon as you unpause this video, through the magic of editing, we'll have already reacted to all trailers off camera and give you our rapid fire thoughts on said trailers. So until then, please enjoy this word from our non-existent sponsor. And we're back. Okay, solid batch of trailers with one last minute addition because I found something. We'll talk about that at the end, of course. But first, let's start off by talking about Tony and Ziva. So we all grew up watching classic OG NCIS, or at least I know Brian, myself, and Tony were huge fans.
I catch it periodically, just every so often. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
I always thought it was cool because NCIS is of course the naval criminal investigative service, and given that I live very close to the largest naval base in the country, a lot of times I'm like, oh hey, I know where that is.
Yep, and given the fact that I grew up on and near naval bases growing up, same.
But yeah, Tony and Ziva were two of my favorite characters. I mean, no disrespect to McGee, I love McGee too, but Tony and Ziva really stole the show. And when Brian told me that this was an NCIS first and not a procedural and actually just one season-long continuous story, I'm like, okay, I think this one is actually worth checking out.
Because I gotta give NCIS its cred. They're not afraid to try new things and break outside. NCIS Sydney was the first time where they did an episode where there isn't a naval base.
Cool.
And then NCIS Origins, where it is a procedural, but it's back in time starring a young Gibbs. So it's a time period procedural, which is something new. And then we've got this, which is now a continual story and not a procedural, but set in the NCIS universe.
Which makes me curious if we'll get to see cameos. I mean, of obviously, rest in peace, Ducky, but a Gibbs or a McGee.
Because Gibbs has retired from the show.
Yeah, but he still
exists, and also the actor Mark Harmon narrates Origins.
Oh, cool.
McGee is still on NCIS So
Jesus Christ, he's holding
yep,
on.
yep.
Has he been promoted to the Gibbs yet? He's still just McGee.
He's now like the Tony.
Ah,
He's the
senior
highest
agent.
you can get
Yeah, he's the
without
right. Okay,
being Gibbs.
makes sense.
Although now they've brought in as like the like physical Tony now because of that Wilmer Valderrama.
Interesting. But yeah, this one we might actually check out. I don't know for sure if this all will depend on schedule, but like we'll keep this one on the radar. This might end up being something that we cover.
Yeah, and also Jay.
Uh-huh.
I think she was the nanny, the one that said
We need to
we
run.
need
Yep.
to run. Did you recognize her?
She did look familiar.
Shadow and Bone.
Oh.
Inej? Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah. Inez from Six of Crows. Yeah, from the Six of Crows part of it.
Yep, that was her.
Nice.
Also, he isn't really in the trailer, but Jarvis from the MCU is in it.
Oh, Paul Bettany or not?
No.
Paul Bettany.
Like
is-
Jarvis,
yeah.
like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
original one.
Yeah, Jarvis from Peggy Carter.
Yep.
Nice.
But anyway, so we'll have to wait and see, but looks promising.
It definitely looks promising. So moving from something that is in the NCIS universe to something that gave off very NCIS type vibes, Department Q from Netflix. It very much feels like British NCIS that focuses on like cold cases or closed cases. It looks interesting. It has like the as you would expect, very dry, sarcastic British wit, which huge fan of. But procedurals aren't usually a thing we cover on the show because we like to focus. We like to kind of do focus plot type stuff.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that because it's the same director as Queen's Gambit.
Interesting, but yeah, looks interesting, but probably not gonna be on the list.
It actually stars Matthew Good, who was Ozymandias in Watchmen.
In Watchmen, yeah, I knew he looked familiar.
Amongst a lot of other things, but yeah, it looks interesting for a procedural. But then again, it is a procedural.
Yeah.
But the last TV show, or the last live action TV show on this list. The Better Sister.
I'm actually, I said this off camera. I said this off camera while we were reacting to the trailers. But like, this is the type of like messy rich people doing fucked up shit that I wanted to see in like White Lotus.
Oh yeah.
I'm honestly surprised Nicole Kidman is not involved in this show. When the trailer finished, I was like, yo, this feels like a This is a Nicole Kidman ass show. Cause like, if you look at Nicole Kidman's recent television career within prestige television, Nicole Kidman, like this is the shit she lives for, and and to be fair, she kills it, pun intended. But yeah, it looks really interesting, and like the like potential plot twist in it like have me really intrigued.
Oh shit! This is being directed by Craig Gillespie.
That name sounds really familiar.
It should. As far as movies, he's worked on movies and TV shows, but the movies, Lars and the Real Girl, the Fright Night remake, I, Tonya.
Oh, I, Tonya was great.
Cruella, Dumb Money, and the upcoming Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow.
Oh shit! Nice, man. I cannot wait to see that. I know Millie Alcock can kill it.
Yep. Which it's funny that has happened twice now, because this is just soon after we reacted to the trailer for her new show, Siren.
Oh yeah, with the cult. Yeah, we did that last week, didn't we? Yeah.
Not last week, but we did it recently.
Pause.
But anyway, this looks interesting and very messy.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely intrigued. This one's gonna be on the radar for sure.
It's got a great cast: Jessica Biel, Elizabeth Banks, Corey Stoll, and also in it is Matthew Modine, who if that name doesn't sound familiar to you, Papa from Stranger Things.
Yeah, nice. All right. So next one we want to talk about, fucking a movie that I've been looking forward to, but I did not know the trailer was out for it. The Old Guard 2.
Yup.
And holy shit, this looks awesome.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, Charlize Theron versus Uma Thurman. Like I'm here for that. I'm here for that.
Oh yeah.
And
indeed.
I actually really liked the first Old Guard movie.
Same.
So like the lore they built up for that world is actually actually really interesting. So like, I think that's gonna be a fun one. It looks like we're gonna be doing a lot of movies in July, folks.
Yep. But yeah. And all the callbacks to the original, like the homegirl, the Asian girl.
Yeah, the one that got trapped.
They
yeah.
pulled out of the water.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I think I remember them talking about her in the original.
Yep.
But they said that they did that because she was too crazy.
Yep.
So Uma, as the first immortal, obviously knows about that secret. So how else to burn them down but burn them from the inside?
Yep.
With one of their own.
It's gonna be really interesting.
Oh yeah, and apparently joining the cast, the already stacked cast, is Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Oh shit.
And Henry Golding, if that name doesn't sound familiar to you, he was the main dude in Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh shit.
But he's also been in like The Gentleman, Snake Eyes, Ministry of Ungentlemanly Behavior.
Yeah, he worked with Guy Ritchie a lot.
Yep. I heard that I think he's a possible contender for the next James Bond.
Ooh, interesting. But yeah, no, I'm definitely looking forward to that. And our final entry onto this onto the trailer playlist.
Oh wait, you're missing one.
Am I missing one? Did I skip one? What did I skip?
The Long Walk.
All right, duh. How could I skip over the Stephen King? But yeah, that movie looks dope. It's another upcoming Stephen King adaptation, which is like kind of the OG Hunger Games because this shit was written in the 70s. Although I don't know if Battle Royale came out before this one.
The
No.
Long Walk book came out in '79.
Yeah, cause I would say Battle Royale book came out in the 80s. So yeah, I think this one came out first. But yeah, it is like a lot of people like reference it as like the OG Hunger Games, which is why it's funny that it's being directed by someone that was heavily involved. You know, the director that was heavily involved in the Hunger Games series.
Also, it has another Hunger Games reference that I didn't even.
Oh.
Our lead there with like the bucket hat or whatever it's called. He is the son of Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh shit! Huh? Wild.
That is cool.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, indeed. But also, this just looks like more simplistic Hunger Games too.
But still pretty fucking intense.
Yeah, but instead of like, oh, you've got to go through like survive this big giant forest where a lot of things can happen. You can team up into teams and fight each other. No, it's just walk until you can't walk anymore.
Personally, I would take Forest of Death.
Yeah.
I have more of a chance of surviving the Forest of Death.
Same.
I could at least crawl in the Forest of Death.
I feel like I'd be like the Peter Millar, where it's like be nice, team up, be kind, and team up with the badass people. So do the forest.
You know,
I would have more fun surviving the long walk than you two.
fair enough.
Fair.
But
I mean, IRL, I have, I guess, the strongest leg out of 4 panel chasers here.
yeah, no, that's fair.
Well, I think also my problem is not exactly the legs.
Yeah, I would say Brian isn't necessarily the walking part as it is for me. Brian is more of the coordination and the balance, which I guess is still a problem for me, but mine is more of the actual ambulatory.
Like we saw how intense it was for the one dude that was just
tired
tying his shoes. Could you imagine if somebody face planted and took a while to get? That would be me.
Yeah, that's fair.
I get you there, Brian, but in terms of survival, you try to think of things rather quickly.
I mean, I'll take the Forest of Death.
But
I'm
anyway,
that outline the more athletic without any proper way of accurate terms. I'm the more
I wouldn't even say athletic. I'd probably just say like best coordinated. You have the
best
most
coordinated.
You have the most coordination ability.
Yep, most coordination, and in certain parts, like some muscle mass where it needs to be.
Yeah, but like you said off screen, Tony, the whole entire thing is an allegory for the Vietnam War, and you can see that in the way that things are going.
Oh yeah.
But it is the same director as the Hunger Games, so it's gonna be really cool to see, and I can't wait.
And it's
Don't
funny.
know if we'll cover it.
It's funny, we talking about stuff that we like had covered previously or like reacted to previously. We had seen the trailer for The Life of Truck from Flanagan. That's a King adaptation that features Mark Hamill, and then we just saw this that also features Mark Hamill.
Yeah, apparently Hamill is a big Hunger Games fan. And he really wanted to join the movies, but there was never a good pick for him.
Oh, interesting. I would have, as good as great as Woody Harrelson is, I honestly think Mark Hamill could have done a good Haymitch too.
Yeah, I could see that.
He might be he might have been a tad old for it, so I can understand why they didn't use him.
But yeah, so when this came up and the director was like, "Hey, you want to be the villain in my Hunger Games movie?" Hamill was like, "Bet."
Fuck yeah.
And anytime we get to see Hamill as a villain, it's great.
I mean, we saw Fall of the House of Usher, and he just fucking, oh man.
Yeah. His character was definitely evil and villain.
I would say he wasn't the main villain, but he definitely he was the fixer for for Bruce Greenwood.
He just wasn't an antagonist.
Yeah, so he still did some vile, fucked up shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he is the only character to be based off of a novel character rather than someone from a short story.
Nice.
Also,
that too, Arthur Pym, so to speak.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, spoiler alert. I believe he is one of the few people that actually survives that show.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yep.
He's in prison, but he's alive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So now that we've covered all the trailers, it is time.
Did we cover?
Oh right.
Our surprise?
All right. The surprise trailer. I almost forgot about the surprise trailer. Thank you, Tony. Yeah. So last minute addition to the playlist, as you guys have seen. I saw on Twitter that this announcement trailer was released, so I was like, Brian, we gotta add this. You know how much we love this show, and it is of course My Dress Up Darling season 2. I'm so excited. I love this. I love this fucking anime. It's so goddamn cute. Marin and Gojo are just the best. I love them. I can't wait to see more.
Beautifully animated. Granted, it's only an announcement trailer that doesn't show any release dates or anything of the kind.
But
it's just
from the trailer, it's clearly very far along in production.
so we're just eagerly anticipating when they drop.
100%.
It definitely did look good at the very least.
You have to check it out, Trash. Like you got to put that one on your list. It's so good.
I'll make sure to.
Like it's a nice easy breezy wholesome watch. Like, there's etchy bits to it, but it's not overwhelmingly etchy. It's a tasteful amount of etchy.
And it is Gunner friendly.
It's a tasteful amount of etchy.
It's not like the dungeon only I can enter.
Oh my! Hey, that is definitely untastefully etchy, but I also have a guilty pleasure for that amount of excessive etchy.
Same here. That's why I always have to mention it.
The fact that Homegirl has an S rank face sitting skill will always blow my mind.
I have never heard about this.
I will never forget that as long as I live.
Yep, as long as I breathe.
Like, I need to I need to find me somebody with an S rank face sitting skill.
I mean, don't you have it, Emma Frost?
I mean, fair. You know what, Trash? You're right. I stand corrected.
But that's just for video games and other shit. If you want some IRL shit, well, take Jason time.
It's still gonna take some searching, but I will not give up on this quest. This shall be the quest I partake for the duration of my lifetime.
I'm pretty sure Jake could find someone.
We'll see. Fingers crossed.
It's easy.
But yeah. So speaking of quests and missions, let's go ahead and get into the main event. We are going to discuss Thunderbolts. Now, of course, first we're going to talk spoiler free and whatnot. I do apologize, folks. We yapped for a little too long, so Tony is now in transit. So there is gonna be a little bit of wind and static and stuff. I'm gonna do my best to clean it up. We'll see how it goes. But nothing I can really do on my end about mic-related stuff.
Yeah.
So I apologize in advance. But yeah.
Yeah, some low data is just garbage.
Yeah, we can't really do it. We can't do anything about connection issues when Tony gets into rough spots in terms of phone data stuff. But yeah, so let's talk about Thunderbolts spoiler free. You know what, Brian, we're gonna switch things up and we're gonna move the opposite end of the line. We're gonna do you, Trash, me, then Tony.
Okay, so going into this, honestly, I had already heard some of the reviews. I saw it on the Tuesday after it premiered, so a little bit of the reviews had come in.
And I saw it on Thursday, so I was like, I gave my initial thoughts and was as vague as possible.
But also, I will admit that a certain thing got spoiled for me, and because of the marketing, we talked about it earlier.
Yeah, we made the joke at the opening. You guys know what it is.
Yeah, that spoiled it for me. So I was like, shit, even though I'm working, I gotta see it before it gets spoiled even more. So I saw it after I had a work day at work.
Jordan, did you see my fan?
And I heard some of the reviews, but honestly, I still didn't know what to expect. And honestly, I really liked it. The best Marvel thing I've seen in a while. It's unconventional, and I can see where some people have problems with it, especially if you haven't been like keeping up with everything with Marvel, because we said this off camera, but this is like one of the like properties that has the most homework to it.
Oh yeah, it's definitely the most homework intensive, which is a problem that the movie does run into. Is if you don't care about the ancillary properties that these guys come from, it's gonna be a lot harder to connect. I still feel like personally they did a solid job. I didn't mean to hijack your time, Brian. I just wanted to piggyback here. I agree with you.
Yeah, and so I also liked most of these characters going in, so I didn't mind it. Also, some of them I felt like they used the whole like homework thing to their advantage, while some of them didn't, because some of them have had like all this history to them, so of course the plot's not going to be directly about them.
Yes, but some of them have had like at least 4 movies.
And a TV show. But anyway, I did like it. I did really like it for what we got, and can't wait to see these characters more. Like you said, Jay, it's not perfect, and honestly, I don't know if I completely like where they left off with the characters, but we can get into that in spoilers. But overall, it was an enjoyable time.
Okay. Trash, how about you?
For me, it's definitely an MCU movie that I liked more than most of them so far. Regardless or not, it does have its very big problems, specifically for a character that everyone on this podcast probably knows that I love a lot and that I hold very dear to my heart and that I think did nothing wrong. And there were some issues with that, in which there were certain characterization issues. There were a lot of continuity issues. Honestly, because of that other stuff, they got me very upset, but also there were a few emotional moments that I really enjoyed. I actually liked how they decided to go for a different direction with this Marvel movie. It was really nice. It was a nice change of pace. I did like the actors. The actors were definitely incredible in this movie. Some got more time than others, and there was one specific character that got really like hecked out of the movie that honestly I feel like they didn't like. I didn't even like this character, but I even felt like offended for them, basically.
I mean, to be fair, a majority of us knew that character wasn't gonna make it because
based on the marketing.
I would say the marketing actually made it pretty obvious that character was not gonna make it.
I mean, I get that, but still, regardless or not, there's certain aspects of her character, of their character, I feel is really like offensive in a way.
So I'm happy that character is gone. Like I was jumping up and down with joy because now we can get the real version.
I understand, but that character from their how do you say it? From their story and their history, they definitely did not deserve it.
I personally
I wish they could have gotten rid of them in a different way. Because
well, I can see what you're saying though, because the character did go through a lot undeservedly, but also the problem with the character is that it it's basically a complete OC with the flavoring of a Marvel character.
Yep. And
Which that in itself is not a bad thing, but how it was done is stupid.
And
Yeah.
I think what they did was honestly more so to just be like, all right, clearly this didn't work, and we just need to wipe this one off the board. Okay, goodbye, character.
It's like
Because to be
wiping the
honest,
slate.
nobody really cared about that character, so no one's gonna be upset.
Well, we can't say nobody, because there would be like some people. It's a small minority, but they do exist.
Yeah. I mean, like, when I say nobody, I mean that with hyperbole, but like,
Yeah,
not
I know
really,
what you mean, but-
not really, and no one really like walked out of the movie that this character was featured and was like, man, I can't wait to see more of this character.
Honestly, was surprised to see this character again after their movie.
Yeah, right. Same.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technically they didn't have a movie, right?
I mean, they were
Yeah.
they were actually a big part of the movie that they were featured in.
They were the.
Well, then again, that also like I've only heard of that movie. I've never seen it.
Yeah, we'll
Oh.
yeah, no, yeah. They, the three of us watched that movie, and yeah, they were a big part of it in terms of like they were the final boss essentially.
They were the physical threat, whereas the movie's main villain was more of a mental threat.
Yeah, more of like a puppeteer type character.
Yeah, they were more of like a hench person.
Yeah. They were an upgraded henchman with like fancy upgrades.
Yeah, which hampers the original character.
Yeah, I was just saying, which is definitely like totally undeserving of a character like that has this much like storied history and love within the Marvel universe as a whole. So like,
Yeah, but before we ask on, anything else you want to add there, Trash?
Basically, I feel like the plot was really frustrating at times, and I will that will have to be done in spoilers specifically, because holy moly, there were some doozies in there that I was like, okay, what the heck, seriously? Like, and I was questioning a lot of it the whole time.
Understandable.
But outside of that, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's plenty of other things I could say, but I'll leave that for the other discussion.
all right, well, for me, I love this movie, man. I love this movie, and like specifically as somebody who like studied psychology for a long time and also suffers from mental illness myself. Like this movie really hit. It really hit. The fact that it was small scale in comparison to a lot of the stuff we've been getting recently, like, was a really nice like breath of fresh air. It shows that Marvel is capable of doing nice small scale movies that can still mean something, which is huge like in just the grander scheme of Marvel as a whole. This movie had a lot of parallels that I saw of like the original Guardians movie, of it's this band of misfit nobody assholes who come together and eventually kind of form a found family. And when you look at the original Guardians, you've got characters like a Groot or a Drax, where they're just kind of there for the vibe. You don't really get to know much about them, but
They get 1 or 2 minute moments to shine, but overall, they're not the focus.
Yeah, but they still work within the greater whole of the team, and that's how I feel about this team's makeup. There is a clear protagonist in this movie, like how each of the Guardians movies has a clear protagonist. The first Guardians movie, I would argue the protagonist is Gamora, because her whole thing is the whole escape of Thanos and the prison and all that.
True.
The second movie, obviously, the protagonist is Star-Lord, because it deals with Peter and his father and all that family stuff. The third movie, of course, the protagonist is Rock. And I think that this, since this movie did well, we know for a fact that the Thunderbolts will return. I think they're gonna go through a similar progression where each movie will have a different protagonist. And in this one, Yelena, aka the second Black Widow, Natasha's younger sister, for those of you who did not see the Black Widow movie or Hawkeye or some of the other things that she was, briefly featured in, is the main protagonist. Which is what we said before. Like, if you haven't seen any of that stuff, it might be a little difficult to get you to get you invested and attached. But honestly, but the one character that it will not be hard to get invested and attached in is Yelena, because Florence Pugh is a freaking, oh man, she is a tour de force. She knows how to carry a scene.
Yep, and that built-in her signature frown.
Yeah.
Which apparently she didn't even realize that she was doing.
Yeah.
Until an interviewer brought it to her attention.
And also, like, something that I really like that I want to go into deeper when we get to spoilers is a little bit of the meta narrative that I personally noticed is that, like, a lot of this movie and its characters' arcs is all about, kind of listlessness, emptiness, and loss of direction. I don't know, kind of like a universe that is kind of listless and doesn't have a direction. So like, I definitely kind of like, in a meta sense, like I was like, it's really interesting how that kind of parallels the state of the universe, and it's also kind of reflected in the state of their world where it is when they leave off, and that's what makes it so interesting and such a like, I don't want to say complete narrative, but kind of like a very like full circle story for me. And it's not that like it's complete, it's more so kind of like that old proverb of the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. This was the first step, and it was huge. And the fact that
I can see that
journey's gonna keep going. Like there's still a lot of problems they gotta deal with, but like that first step, it's the right direction. And I'm like, oh, good for you. It's taken so long for you to actually get into the right direction, and I'm happy.
Yeah, because like you were saying, Jay, some of the characters like stepped aside a little bit, but even some of those like had setup for future stuff.
Yeah, and there's a lot of reading, like, as again, I'm not actor's act. I'm a fucking theater kid. I did theater in high school and some in college, but like, just from an actor's perspective, a lot of the what I liked about the movie a lot, especially from a character perspective, is that a lot of the character development was very much subtle, read between the lines, more so not necessarily with their dialogue, but either with their actions and or lack of action in certain places. There's a character I want to talk about specifically in spoilers that I'm going to bring up when we get to the spoiler section first, because they're probably like the most underdeveloped out of the squad, and like a lot of their development was more so just kind of like, understanding who that character is and then seeing, oh wow, I didn't expect that character to actually do that, or this character to react in this way. Like, that's a pretty big change. It's subtle, but if you know where that character was before, that's pretty huge.
Also, you talk about the actors. Didn't realize this until I thought about it. This movie also goes to show you that don't always discount nepo baby actors.
Oh yeah,
because this features two of them.
Yeah, and also
Wyatt.
Oh yeah, who's the other one? I know Wyatt Russell, but who's the other one?
Bob.
Yeah.
Bill Pullman's son.
See, I knew his last name was Pullman. I did not know he was Bill Pullman's son. Huh.
Yep.
That's cool. And fun fact, this was originally supposed to be Steven Yeun, but due to writer strike stuff, he ended up taking on a different project that conflicted with the filming of Thunderbolts, so he had to pull out.
Yep. You can say that particular project is...
Insert music cue here. Brian, insert the music cue.
Where instead of playing a Superman copy, he played the son of a Superman copy.
Which, to be fair, honestly, like, this version, we'll talk about it, but this version of the character is a lot less Superman than I was expecting. We'll get there. But again, I love the mental health journey, especially considering, the main driving force of the plot is what I'll say. Not gonna say any further than that. Like, it's just really interesting, and it has so many fascinating layers. Like, this was the first time in a while when I left an MCU MCU movie, and I like legit just kept thinking about stuff and was like, oh, that was cool. I like how this connected to this. I wonder how this is gonna work with this. Like, where is this gonna go? I'll be honest with you. When I left Cap 4, I didn't really think about it much more. I didn't personally care all that much. You know, same with a lot of MCU movies from this phase and a little bit further back, post Endgame. But this had my like fucking comic fanboy brain going.
Yeah, and also, this isn't really a spoiler, but there are 2 post-credit scenes, but it gives me the vibes of like the old school Marvel days when they would have 2.
Yep, where like it's very much like OG Avengers, where like one's a joke and then one is the actual relevant. Okay, this leads into the next thing. I won't say in which order those take place in. You'll have to just hold your pee and find out. But yeah. So Tony, before we jump into spoilers, anything you got to say?
No, I've pretty much made my piece on everything that we talked about before into fun with everyone else's. So
Okay.
yeah, let's get into spoilers.
Okay, cool. So this has been your warning. We are entering spoiler territory from here on out. Please go watch the movie. Like, you know, I thought it was great. I think if you are a Marvel fan, like a comic book fan, or an MCU fan that has kind of lost the spark, felt like they've lost spark, this definitely, I think, could rekindle that spark for you. You know, your mileage may vary, but I definitely have a good feeling about this one. So let's go ahead and just address it right off bat now that we're in spoiler territory. Good riddance, Taskmaster. Hardly knew ye.
Yep.
Yeah, I personally didn't like her, but yeah.
I did
Like
not.
she basically lived her whole life like under mind control, and now she finally has a chance for something, but she just like died.
Well, look at it this way. She got set free permanently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, regardless, I still
I-
think that's pretty sad.
No, I get you.
I
and
mean,
also,
no,
the thing that
it's sad. I just don't care because this opens up the possibility to actually get Anthony fucking Masters in this bit.
yeah, and the thing that I will say that kind of irked me, which I get what they were going for with it, but like while you saw like the trailers and everything, and the trailers made it she wasn't going to survive much of the film. You look at the other promo material for it, and they were showing her like with her own version of Falcon wings and like doing all this crazy shit where she's copying other people's stuff, you know, like the character is supposed to be.
Mhm.
And then, no, we don't get to see any of that. Like, the funny thing is they even at one point, like, after she dies, says, none of you can fly? Well, one of us could, but she's lying on the floor over there.
Yep. I mean, again, I'm just more excited for the fact that fucking real Taskmaster can show up, and there's an easy way to explain his powers. Finally call him a mutant. I know, like, even in the comics, they never even really say, like, out loud if he's a mutant or not, but now you have an excuse to just be like, yeah, he's a mutant. X-Men are here now.
I mean, have they said anyone's really a mutant? Really?
Kamala
In the
Khan.
MCU?
Kamala Khan.
Did they explicitly say that?
Yeah.
Yep.
The word mutant
At the end
of Miss Marvel in the post-credit scene, like for the last episode.
That explains that.
her-
I didn't see
her
that one.
Her techie friend was analyzing her blood because they found out from everybody that she's doing things that the gauntlets aren't supposed to like let her do. So her techie friend was testing her blood, and he's like, your genes have mutated for some reason.
Yep.
And then
He just straight up calls her a mutant. So yeah.
And they play the like X-Men
X-Men. Yeah.
in the background.
So.
actually, I think Jeff, you know this.
Mhm.
I might know this too, but originally, from what my understanding was, Kamala Khan was supposed to be a mutant.
She was originally. She was originally, but then internal things because Fox owned the rights to the X-Men at the time. Marvel wanted to shit on the X-Men editorially because they didn't want to promote something that they couldn't make money off of, so they kind of shelved the X-Men. So they forced the creator of Kamala to turn her into an Inhuman.
And then they did that like Terrigen Mist shit that like killed most of the X-Men.
Yep.
And also
And then
Kamala
and then ironically enough, I just realized how fucking dumb but also kind of funny in an ironic way it is that like she was born in an event that killed a bunch of X-Men, and then she has to die to awaken her.
Unlike Doreen, a Squirrel Girl, who was also
So
originally a mutant.
Doreen's a weird case where like they first said she was a mutant, and then now she just keeps constantly like backtracking about it.
When they made Kamala Inhuman, they also made her Inhuman.
Oh, interesting. Okay, but
now I think she's back to where she was before, where it's
nebulous, like
yeah.
But I am legally distinct.
Exactly.
And meta jokes are kind of funny. And also, fun fact, our favorite Merc with the mouth, he's technically a mutate.
He is indeed, because he was created via science. But yeah, so I'm just excited for Taskmaster, dude. Taskmaster is so fucking cool, and his costume is amazing. Hopefully that means we could actually get a real costume. Because her costume honestly wasn't that bad. Only thing I hated was the mask, and hopefully we can get an actual skull mask next time.
It took more inspiration from the
from the Ultimate Universe version. Yeah.
No. It wasn't Ultimate Taskmaster. It was Tony when he was trying to be more cool and edgy back in the 2000s and 2010s.
2010s, like mid 2000s Taskmaster. That's right. When they were trying to be cool and realistic instead of actual comp characters. But yeah. So I honestly could not to be mean, but I could not give less of a shit. She's dead. I personally never liked that character, and I thought that I actually liked the Black Widow movie, but I was like, she's the worst part of it. We just delete her, and this movie would actually be at least an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, like this, at least in my personal opinion, after watching the Black Widow film myself, I had this one conclusion, at least in my head. The film should have just stayed with Dracoff being the main antagonist.
Because Dracoff was a great villain on its own, and with enough of a personal connection to Nat and her entire family, where it's just like the stakes mattered. I cared. I wanted to see him die.
Yeah. Also, to the fact of I could be wrong because it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but doesn't she like not say anything for the whole movie?
She doesn't.
Yeah.
She doesn't.
She does not.
She does not speak.
She was mute.
So it's basically like how they made Deadpool in the Wolverine movie.
She is legit. She is legit like the Taskmaster equivalent of Barakapool.
Yep. That's perfect comparison.
Which is also like a really good comparison because Taskmaster is also very snarky. So yeah.
And she had no powers. She was just a Black Widow with tech that could copy other people's tech.
Yeah.
Honestly, wouldn't it have been better if Masters was the antagonist of Brave New World?
Yes.
It would have.
That was actually a character we were speculating on when like plot leaks came out that like, oh, they could bring him in here, but it is what it is. Hopefully we'll get him soon. I actually think he would make a great Sam Wilson villain.
And what would be, here's something interesting that I learned about recently thanks to a YouTuber that I subscribe to. It concerns a character that we may disagree on when it came to their perspective, and it's a nice segue, at least to this character, John Walker.
Yeah. Oh, real quick.
My boy, my man.
Real quick before we jump into Johnny Walker Black Label. I wanna quickly address another character that is a big part of the movie, but I want to bring up my Guardians of the Galaxy comparison again to just kind of show how much parallels there are. You want to know another similarity to Guardians of the Galaxy 1 that this movie has? This movie also has kind of a nothing villain that nobody really cares about.
Are you gonna say Ghost?
No, Valentina.
Oh, no. I forgot she was in the movie. Oh, that's right. She's the main reason why I hate the plot.
She's
that's what I'm saying. Ronan was a shitty villain that didn't really do much, but be the reason for the team to come together and to fight together. That is what Valentina is.
No, here's a more apt comparison that I think better suits Valentina for where her position is. As director of the CIA, she is effectively a bargain bin Nick Fury.
I mean, well, that's funny because she's actually Nick Fury's love interest in the comics. Well, at least in the 70s Nick Fury stuff. The Contessa.
Yeah.
She's basically female Henry Kissinger. Let's be real.
Yeah. Yeah,
but,
I agree with there. But point is,
and-
at least MCU Valentina gives off like a knockoff version of what Nick was trying to do initially.
Well, no, see,
but with an added
the thing is, what she's supposed to be, and I think like, you know, they have potential to improve this later on. But what she's supposed to be is Victoria Hand, who they already used, so they couldn't use that character because they used that character in fucking Agents of Shield of all things. But she's supposed to be.
And use is a like.
Yeah, that's very liberal. That's a very like, you know, that's a very generous way of putting it. Because she was like in a handful of episodes. It was revealed that she was one of the Hydra secret agents, and then she got killed. For those of you folks who aren't familiar with the comics, in Dark Reign, the you know, era of the Marvel Universe where Norman Osborn took over Shield after Tony Stark was dethroned as director of Shield and created Hammer. He formed what are known as the Dark Avengers, which is a team of Avengers composed of, you know, as the name implies, darker versions, darker equivalents. And Victoria Hand was the liaison, kind of Maxwell Lord like figure who kind of handled all the logistic stuff. And that's what I feel like Valentina is supposed to be. But Valentina more came across as like the kind of Ronan the Accused. And again, this is the problem I have with the original Guardians that I also have with Thunderbolts, is that, like, you know, she's the main villain is someone I just don't give a shit about.
Yeah, and which also ties into the fact that we got an answer to a like decade-long question within the MCU, and the answer is not great, but it is an answer. What happened to the Avengers Tower? Who bought it?
Yep. Which I mean, like, if you saw how Valentino was moving in stuff like Black Panther, or like in Black Panther, you know, Falcon Winter Soldier, that makes a lot of sense. You actually, there's hints of that when she's talking to, which I'm actually surprised that character wasn't involved in this. Where the fuck is Power Broker? I was totally expecting an appearance from Sharon at some point, because of how, like, it seemed like they were very much like working together, you know what I mean? Or at least like Valentina was using a lot of Sharon's newly accrued resources as the Power Broker, which like, you know, I don't like that they made that change to that character, but if you're gonna make the change, use it. That's another like little complaint in terms of like world building that I have with like on Valentina's end.
I personally don't even believe that Sharon would become the Power Broker, honestly.
I don't either.
Well, she did.
I don't either. But if you're gonna go ahead and do it, fucking stick with it.
Well, I mean, would you really want to? If you really want that, then they should stick with what they did in Secret Invasion, and I don't think anybody wants that.
Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Especially not Don Cheadle.
Dude, what they did with him in that series, really disrespectful.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But maybe not as respectful as Colby's mother.
Yeah.
Or Lamar.
But
I'm still sad what they like how they treated Lamar.
But
anyways, that's for another.
Moving on to Ghost, because I know you like we had brought up Ghost.
We're in spoiler territory, right?
Yeah, we are in spoiler territory. So
okay, so I want to talk about Valentina really still.
Okay, yeah, sure.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
So a lot like she's on an impeachment trial, right? She shouldn't be able to do any of this. First of all, she's a CIA operative. Like, they say that she's just an advisor for the CIA.
She's not an advisor. She's the director of the CIA.
Yeah, which is weird because like they kind of flip flop between that, because in some points of the story they say she's a director, and then sometimes they say she's just an advisor.
She's an advisor to the council, but the director of the CIA. That is what they say.
Oh, okay, thank you.
She's both.
But regardless or not, she should not be able to have a private army like she does.
Well, you know, not to get to today in America, but that kind of shit isn't necessarily like. That is another thing that I disliked about this, is like, all right, y'all, I know what you're doing, and I know that it's relevant. We don't need this in our comic movie.
And technically, she was running that organization long before she was the director of the CIA.
Yeah.
So
then that makes it even worse that she's even a part of it. There were also some aspects in which she got away scot-free somehow, when she should have been like impeached completely. Like, there's no way anybody would have, like, and she also did a lot of things like blowing things up in broad daylight, just like the Flag Smashers, that she shouldn't have been able to get away with at all.
I mean, that's
she should have.
I mean, but that's the thing, though. And again, this is more of a personal commentary kind of thing. The public is stupid. The public is really stupid. You give the right amount. You give the right amount of spin. You put the right amount of fear into people. They're gonna eat this shit up like candy. I know a lot. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, hey, that doesn't make any sense. You shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be in office. Well, guess what? You're still in fucking office. We're not again, I don't want to go here. We're not gonna go here because this is a whole different thing. But that is clearly what they were doing, and yeah, I don't like it, but it is a reality of how the world works.
I still don't believe it.
It's happening, Trash. I don't know what to tell you. It's fucking happening.
Okay. Anyways, but I don't think a person for the CIA would be able to do that personally.
I mean,
at least that kind of thing.
I mean, if you look at some of the shit Henry Kissinger was doing, J. Edgar Hoover was doing, yeah, they could. Like,
well, regardless or not, I don't know. I just like, especially, I don't know, man.
I mean, come on, Trash. You know history. The CIA,
I do, but I don't believe that could be done on American soil like that. Without, like, especially if she's doing it where she's blowing up like a bunch of different things, and she's like a bunch of senators actually have dirt on her, and seriously, there's no way that could happen.
Well,
not to mention Bucky was on her case, and he's the Winter Soldier.
The whole entire reason why all that happened is because when she like had that first impeachment, she wiped everything clean. There was no evidence on her whatsoever, and the only reason why they picked it back up was because Bucky said that he found something, which was the Thunderbolts.
And then she ended up turning the Thunderbolt into her own personal device.
Yeah, but she couldn't. That was really stupid too. Honestly, she couldn't have been able to do that. They had all the dirt on her, and also Bucky promised the senator, that one senator, that he would give him the stuff, and he had no consequences for that, I guess.
It was an ongoing impeachment. It wasn't a first impeachment, Brian. It was an ongoing impeachment process.
Yeah, so they already had a bunch of dirt on her, and she said to keep on going for it, and they were able to. They had so much dirt on her, and I'm pretty sure Bucky could have, he should have given them that thing, because they had all the power. The Thunderbolts had all the power. They didn't need her to be a team.
I agree with Trash on that aspect.
Yeah, that part I do agree with. That I didn't understand why they kept. I didn't understand why they kept her around, even with the whole "we own you now." Like, yeah, but you don't need to hold that over her head. Like,
remember,
she's willing to kill you. You don't want to keep her there.
Remember in the non-spoiler where I said at the very end there was something that they did that I didn't like? It was that.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree with that. They shouldn't have kept her around.
Also, the whole thing with Sam, that also shouldn't have happened, really.
Yeah, that was part of it too.
That I felt like was just a dumb joke that they shouldn't have put in there. Like,
well,
it makes him even more of a dick than he's been.
I saw somebody post a theory online that they think that what that is building towards the MCU version of Civil War 2.
No, see, I don't think that's building up towards Civil War 2. I think what it is just a version of what happened in the comics. Like, if you remember when the Bendis New Avengers formed with Luke Cage, Spider-Man, Wolverine, and the Bucky, Captain America, and the like. After that happened, Iron Man formed the Mighty Avengers with Steve Rogers, Captain America, and some Jessica Drew and some others. I think this is just Sam forming the Mighty Avengers to counter the New Avengers, just because Marvel wants name recognition, because they're like, hey fans, remember this?
I also heard on somewhere that when we get to Avengers Doomsday, Sam has already built that team off screen.
Yeah, that's what I figured, because they're not gonna make a Avengers in between movie where we get to see Sam build this team.
Imagine how amazing that would have been.
I'm gonna be so upset if Spider-Man is on that team and not on the New Avengers, the actual team that he was a part of.
I don't think
he also should have been in this movie.
Well, he's not gonna be in Doomsday.
Yeah, he's not gonna be in Doomsday. He's
gonna have his own side story, right?
Yeah, it's basically, from what my understanding is, it's nothing to do with the multiverse. It's gonna be a soft reboot for Pete in the MCU.
I also heard that the Punisher's gonna be in there too.
That was that's a rumor. Like they've been like Bernthal has been talking about how he really wants to because
not only do the characters have such a big connection, but the actors do too. Apparently Bernthal and Holland friend were both working on the same movie when they were both auditioning for the roles, and they helped each other with their audition.
Oh, nice. And I mean, it would honestly be awesome to see Frank, considering that he is a Spider-Man villain.
But all that we know for sure is that it's called Brand New Day, that Sadie Sink is going to be in
God, that fucking triggers me as a Spider-Man fan.
Why
yeah,
is
that
that?
Sadie Sink.
Because
Sadie's-
Brand New Day is the sequel to One More Day, and One More Day is, you know, the single worst event in Spider-Man history.
Where he sold his
Let's not talk about it.
Marriage.
Let's not talk about it.
Yeah, let's go back to the movie anyways.
But
But the point I was going to get to with John Walker before we sidetrack into other nerds.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I thought
sorry.
we were going to do Ghost first.
Yeah.
No, you ruined my segue, guys. What the fuck?
Well, yeah, I was saying, well, before we get into Ghost, I wanted to talk about Valentina, and then Trash was talking about Valentina.
Yeah, because I
gonna
didn't get a
talk
chance to say anything
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Valentina.
I was initially going to talk about John. I was hoping to say Valentina for like after John because it concerned what like the original scripting for Thunderbolts was going to be something completely different, and it concerned John.
Oh yeah, where Walker was gonna be the villain.
Yep, and he was going to become A-Bomb.
A-bomb? Like Rick Jones A-bomb?
Mm-hmm.
The fuck?
And then they were going to have a sun's getting real low, buddy moment.
But didn't they do
No.
that with Red Hulk?
That they scrapped what they were going to do to John because they basically took the plot point for Roth in Brave New World and they took it from John in Thunderbolt and just
Gave it to Thunderbolts. That's funny.
gave it to Thunderbolt Roth in Brave New World.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is funny. But
A-bomb
It was-
though?
Yeah.
The fuck?
I think it's just name recognition.
Where even is Rick? Does Rick Jones exist?
I believe he does.
Technically he does, but the only time we saw him like ever was in the movie tie-in game for Incredible Hulk.
Oh wow, huh?
But he's only only mentioned in that film on like paperwork.
That's crazy because like low key, Rick Jones is one of the most important characters in all of the Marvel universe. He ties
Yeah, it's like,
almost all of the Marvel universe together when you really think about it.
Apparently,
But-
he is mentioned in Incredible Hulk and the Avengers, but never actually seen.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. And he's only appeared in video game form.
That's wild. Justice,
And,
justice for Rick Jones.
But a character that I think was better improved, getting back to John here, Bargain Bin Captain America, as he's called in the film.
I love that Blue Label Captain America like actually got like more character development and like because I think the thing I think this was really I think it was done well in Winter Soldier in the fact that like it did a really good job of like making people hate him because he's supposed to be hated because you know the character from the comics is just this fucking like you know dime store knockoff Captain America that did not deserve that shield whatsoever. Oh my god, man.
With Johnny Boy's origins in the comic being gay,
I kind of wish they did go with the pro wrestler angle.
yes, that would have been hilarious.
I know
but
it would have been too goofy for the MCU, but like, man, that would have been fun.
I would have enjoyed that personally, but what they did with him making him like varsity football star turned soldier American hero, that angle, it works for him still. And seeing a broken man like him just working through problems,
yeah, and it really works because like you know we just talked about John Bernthal, right? Like to kind of tie that back, you know one of the big major themes of the movie is mental health and depression, and like just the fact of we didn't get to see much of it, but what we saw I felt like was just the right amount. Just seeing him wallow and just being completely lost and kind of locked in this tunnel vision, it's a huge credit to Wyatt Russell's performance, just like you know like being so kind of like lost in your own head that you like can't even pay attention to like the world around you, like you know even to the extent where you're like you know kind of zoning out your family. And you know it happened unfortunately a lot with a lot of service members. You know I've seen friends and family go through it where like you know soldiers just shut people out, and you know your family tries to help, but like sometimes you just can't get through, and sometimes what you need to break breakthrough is to just cut them off and like kind of like give them that shock and that wake up call. And you know, that shock and wake up call is what John got, and it got a little boost from, you know, the Sentry, obviously, with all the like the void power stuff. But like, I think it really like took this character that I absolutely fucking hated and made me care.
Yeah, and also the fact alone that he lies about it in the beginning speaks volumes.
And I appreciate that, because like, you know, it shows that same cocky facade and demeanor that like you're just like, oh, what a fucking dick. But then to see the truth behind it, and again to the performance, just how dead he was behind his eyes, my god, like it moves you. And I hated this fucking character. Me and Charles can disagree till the cows come home about like I still believe very much like with the comic version, this guy just didn't deserve to wear the shield. But this feels like, all right, he's acknowledging that he fucked up. He's acknowledging that he needs to be better. So he's gonna do better. And with this
he needs to do better, Senator.
Exactly, and he's gonna do fucking better with these teams and Congressman.
I was saying that as a
Barnes.
joke.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But the joke stands.
It still works.
I personally believe he didn't need to. He was already a hero. He didn't need to say anything.
Sure.
And we can disagree on that.
We're gonna disagreement point.
But also, you talking about his redemption, Jay. He was the one who came out, and everybody was like worried about Yelena, and he was like, "No, this is what happened to me." And then also, that just goes to show you like part of who they are is like when they go through and you see them again, and they've gone through all this shit. They're just like, "Yeah, we went through some shit, but we don't want to talk about it."
And that's also another thing I like about John in particular, is that like you know, with like all the stuff he went through with like, you know, losing Lamar and all that, like and like a thing again that a lot of soldiers go through with PTSD. A lot of what they need is support and just finding another unit, and he's found that unit within this team. And I think I think that's really cool. Like,
and one thing that I want to say personally, I don't like John as a character because of his more brash behavior and personality, but I can respect the guy that, even though he doesn't want to admit it, he wants to be better about the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the most Captain America thing I saw out of him. It's acknowledging, no, I'm fucked up, but guess what? I want to try and be a better person. I'm going to try and improve myself. That's what Steve Rogers would do. That's what he was missing before.
Yeah, he didn't have that initial moment. He may be like a perfect soldier, but he didn't have.
He did everything by the book, and from a soldier, military, and tactical standpoint, sure, did nothing wrong. All right, from that aspect, all right, cool. But from an idealistic standpoint, from what Captain America should stand for as the Sentinel of Liberty, nah. Like Walker, you can't project this perfect image. Like, Steve was great, but Steve is the first one to tell you, I'm just a kid from Brooklyn. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
And also people don't realize this. In all three Captain America movies, he goes against what the government tells him to do.
Exactly.
In the first one, they were like, "No, you're just a showboat. You can't do anything to save Bucky and them. You're just eye candy."
And that's the thing that has always rubbed me the wrong way about Walker. Like, you know, as much like, you know, I come from a military family. I have a lot of love and respect for the military. My life would not be possible without the U.S. military. But one thing that I cannot stand for personally is blind jingoistic loyalty. And the thing with Steve is not loyal to, even though he's Captain America, he is not loyal to a country. He is loyal to his ideals as a person, which is why Captain America has stopped being Captain America several times. He's like, no, I don't agree with what our government is doing. Our government is wrong. America is wrong. I'm not doing this.
That's why in Winter Soldier, he specifically takes off the red, white, and blue and puts on the
the Captain
fans
Rogers.
have dubbed the Ronin suit.
Yeah, Steve was never afraid to go rogue, and like it took Walker being stripped of everything for him to realize, like, no, like I need to decide the right call for myself, and that is a Captain America thing. Like,
and being your agent makes sense for him.
Oh yeah, and plus that outfit is fucking baller. I will.
Yeah.
That was a
I will
major
agree.
costume upgrade.
And also, to his cred, he was full on Valentina, like diehard stick with what she was saying. But then they were like, "Look, idiot, it's getting hotter. She's clearly turned on us." He's like, "Okay," and he goes full force and like flips his switch.
And also, small thing, and shout out to Wyatt Russell, because I always complain about this with superhero actors. I appreciate that he wore the cowl for a good chunk of the movie. So many superhero actors don't want to wear their fucking mask, but he rocked that shit, and I appreciate it.
Until the post-credit scene where they just gave him a beret.
Which I was upset. I was like, come on, you guys, you look great in the hat.
Well,
Yeah, but
also,
they made fun of him for it, so therefore they have to change it.
Well, also in the end credit scene, they were just hanging out in the tower.
Yeah, they were.
He has said that
yeah,
it's not just a mask; it's a helmet.
Yeah.
So
he wasn't in mission. So I don't think he's just gonna walk around in the like in mission in the beret. I think he'll wear the cowl / helmet in like on missions. But yeah, no, I honestly think Walker is the most improved character out of like this entire batch.
Yeah.
I went from absolutely hating him to really respecting the guy. Like
And it's actually really funny.
this is where he Trash, you talked about him being a hero. He earned his hero stripes from me here.
I feel like there was a better way they could have done it, though.
I really don't think there is though, because
Yeah, because he didn't deserve all of the stuff that he did. He was already a nice guy. Okay, so what was bad about him? Like, how was he arrogant exactly?
I mean, the all-American boy aspect, yes, you can actually get that. But when you basically are on like the Herculean, it's more so the mental health aspect. It's a man not willing to. The best way I can explain it, during Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he had this huge burden of taking up a mantle that's really big for him, right? That can put a lot of mental strain on a person. Like, you're living up to a legacy that is larger than you.
Yeah, and I don't like. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Tony. But I think that to help you out with this, I think I know where Tony's going. I don't think it. I'm not blaming him. It's not necessarily his fault. But the way he handled it, I mean, again, this is just kind of an idealized fan perspective, because reading Captain America for so long and like loving and idolizing Steve Rogers as a character, you don't take that towel and shield and like kind of like walk around like your shit don't stink. Like Steve Rogers is one of the most humble, down to earth characters, and like you see glimpses of it in John. It exists, and it's shown here when he's at his lowest, and you get to see him from more of a human angle. And like again, it's not his fault, but the media and how he was spun as Captain America was more than like him being a human, and that made him feel like he had to project this like larger than life arrogant facade. No, that wasn't really him. That's not his fault. But I think that's why it plays so well into like what happened in Thunderbolts, because when he's finally pushed to the point where like he's lost it all, he realizes, I fucked it up. I got too lost in the sauce. He finally gets to be brought down to earth and gets his Captain America moment. Gets to be a real hero. Not to
Didn't
say
he have that in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, though?
I was gonna say not to say that his military service in action.
I meant like when he threw away the shield and he ended up instead of killing Carly, he went to go save those people. He definitely had a hero moment there. That was definitely a first step. But I'm saying this is what it's his Captain America.
Yeah, this
moment.
is his Captain America moment. This is him actually being Captain America. Like that, the moment where he threw away the shield was when it was his first big step of realizing I fucked up. That was where I recognized, okay, I don't like John, but there's something here that we can work with. Even though he's been through a lot and it sucks, guess what? Life sucks, and life sucks especially for soldiers. And it's very realistic, but it also again does a great job of humanizing and helping the audience to understand John as a person, not just as Captain America, this larger than life figure people tried to pitch him as. We got to see John Walker the person, which we did not really get to see in Falcon and Winter Soldier, which was one of my major problems with Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I would like to argue that we did.
Well,
It's just
See,
he. Yeah.
I think the version of John we got to see was more of like the John that was not John like as his real self, more as John as what he felt like he needed to be to live up to what people were thrusting upon
That's
him.
what I'm getting
Yeah,
at. That's what I'm
I
getting
get you. So basically, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Jay.
Yeah.
But what you're saying, and now that you say it, I'm thinking that I think that now too, is that what we saw in Falcon and Winter Soldier was a like psychological mask.
Exactly. And like, you know, mass identities, the shadow self, that's all themes that came together really well in this, which is why I felt like this was completely necessary for Walker's character and why like it was able to really kind of bring him into the light, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah,
Not to say that he was never a good person, because he clearly was. His heart's in the right place, but
It's
like
just the way up there was not the course that Captain America.
and
exactly.
he drank a little too much of the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, like he fell victim to his own hype. But like again, I don't really think to a fault of his own. All this shit was thrust onto him. Not everybody is Steve Rogers. That was the point of Captain America and Falcon and Winter Soldier. Not everybody's Steve Rogers. Shit, even Sam. Sam fucked up a ton, and I mean he continued to fuck up in Cap 4. You can watch that episode for more of our thoughts on that. But
unless you tell him, unless you go to the end of the episode where he basically says he can't mess up, that he's perfect.
I mean,
But anyways, that's a different thing. But regardless or not, there were some moments in which they treated him like really, really badly.
I don't
Like when he messed up. No, he didn't mess up. You know when Yelena messed up in terms when she tried to turn off the lights, right? So
Yeah.
she blamed it on him, even though he was the one who said that there were too many variables, and they painted as if he's the bad guy and that it was his fault.
I don't
So-
I didn't take it like that. I just took it as a joke because
I feel it was an inappropriate.
Well,
Like the thing is,
I don't think
the thing
it
is
was-
there. That's one of the other things about this movie is that it feels like there are certain places in which there's really inappropriate jokes.
I agree with Trash on that front,
Oh,
but
yeah, they're-
more to the point about what you're talking about, Trash. It was an outside variable that Walker, being a soldier, it makes sense for him to think about those variables. Yelena was focused on trying to get her plan through, but she didn't take into account like the building itself.
and again that was definitely Yelena's fault, and she blamed him, but then she also acknowledged, well shit, that wasn't my bad.
And also, I felt like that moment was like not everybody blaming John, but like everybody blaming someone but themselves.
I was gonna say it's not just everybody blamed John. Like Yelena blamed John, but like then they blamed Ghost. Like everybody blamed somebody. Everybody was pointing a finger. The whole point of that scene was that everybody was pointing the blame to someone else instead of accepting accountability for themselves. Yelena didn't accept accountability that she made a mistake. Walker, he also kind of went in on this like kind of maverick as well, in the same way Yelena did. They all messed up in that way, and that was the problem they had in that scene. I didn't necessarily see it as everybody dogpiled on John. Now there were a lot of times where like they went a little too excessive in making fun of John.
Yeah,
Like the part where he was just telling them about the helicopters. And honestly, that's what the thing is. I was watching someone else. They talked about it. They said that basically John was essentially the punching bag until Red Guardian comes along, and then they threw everything at the Red Guardian.
No, that's fair.
As a joke.
That's fair. And I don't agree. I don't agree with how they balance humor in the film. I think that is where they definitely fall short in comparison to Guardians. Because they were definitely trying to do the Guardians thing of the Guardians being like assholes that kind of hate each other, so they shit talk each other as a form of love. And as someone who shit talks all of his friends, I totally get where that's coming from. But like they didn't balance it correct. I do think they got a rhythm towards the end, but like for a good chunk of it, it was definitely off, and like it definitely
Also,
gave
this
a lot
is
of
a-
like tonal whiplash in terms of that regard.
Yeah, and this is a minor thing involving John, but I didn't like the fact that they bent his shield and then never unbent it.
I was
Yeah,
like,
that was really stupid.
Yeah, that was dumb. I'm like, all right, like you could definitely just get him a new shield if he needs a new shield, guys.
I think that's what's happening is with the money of the Avengers, he's getting a new shield, but still.
Avengers with his.
By the way, what was it made out of anyways? Was it made out of vibranium or was it made out of just regular metal?
No, I think his was a knockoff. like.
But a knockoff of what?
Yeah.
Because it was able to like deflect bullets and explosions.
Huh. You know, something crazy kind of occurred. They didn't mention what Walker's shield
Yeah,
was made of.
Because
Oh, I thought it
yeah,
occurred
because
to
in
me.
Falcon and Winter Soldier, it was Steve's shield.
Yep.
But in this,
It's just
it's whatever Valentina gave him.
And I doubt this. And I doubt the CIA was just gonna give him another vibranium shield. Also,
No.
but this does open an interesting possibility of like John getting an adamantium shield.
No, I think that shield was made with a little bit of adamantium.
You think?
I mean,
I think-
I mean, I don't know. They just discovered it. I don't know if they would have been able to.
And I don't think they would have even given it because it's freaking John Walker. They wouldn't have given it to him.
Oh, fair point.
Disgraced ex-Captain America. They already stripped him of everything. They aren't gonna give him that.
Yeah, because he wasn't working for the government. Well, he wasn't officially working for the
Yeah,
government.
he was off book
He
working for
was-
Valentina. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Velda could have pulled some strings given her.
Yeah,
Correct.
I don't know what the shield is. This is just more of a nitpick at this point, but I definitely I do think it was dumb that like they never like fixed his shield.
Mhm.
But again, I feel
Yeah.
like that was done more for like the setup for the new movie, or when they appear next.
Also, just like a thing to show how strong Sentry is.
Yeah.
But I did like that moment, the hero moment that he had at the end, where it was like the montage of all of them doing something heroic.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that I really did like. They actually had them like I actually felt like the Red Guardian and John Walker were like the biggest ones there in terms of that one, and it was
yeah.
really nice to see them together.
Oh yeah, Alexi.
Working to save people.
Alexi was fucking great. My goodness. We'll talk about him after we briefly touch on Ghost. Because like
there's not much to
there isn't really much to say. I know, Trash. You said you didn't care about her in Ant-Man 2, so like obviously you wouldn't care about her now. Me and Brian are kind of the opposite. I don't know how Tony felt about Ant-Man 2, but like I enjoyed Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I was actually really interested in Ghost. So like
Yeah.
I
was a little upset that we didn't get to see
Lawrence
Lawrence
Fishburne.
Fishburne.
yeah, Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Yeah, I
because-
was like, "Where's your dad? Where's your dad?" Like, we went through all this with your dad. Where's your dad?
The adopted
But I
dad.
guess he's busy with other
Still his
stuff.
dad. It's still her dad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
regardless
but-
or not.
I'm saying in a more technical sense.
Oh yeah.
I've
But
seen.
but it's I think it's but the obvious reason is Lawrence Fishburne cost
A
too
lot
much
of
money
money.
for this movie,
And
and
he might have been busy.
he might have been busy
with, like,
doing other stuff.
But
Yeah,
the point
but
is she was utilized well as the villain in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Personally, for me, I didn't really. I enjoyed it to an extent.
Yeah.
I liked it. Paul Rudd was the leading role.
Oh yeah.
Everything
it had its
else,
ups and downs.
it for me, it was more so like a nothing burger.
See, like the thing that like for me, and I talked to Brian about this, and I feel like we're on the same wavelength with this. Is that like with Ant-Man and the Wasp, the way Ghost was presented was really interesting, and with how she was characterized, it had a nice opening to set her up for this. So I already was invested in seeing her with these
Yeah,
guys.
everything was cool, but for me personally, I would have preferred that she just didn't have a continuation to her story. I think it was just a one and done deal. I didn't have to see her ever again. I would have been okay with that.
Yeah.
And I have to say that the one biggest reason I didn't, the biggest reason I don't like her at all is because she tried to kill Janet and a bunch of other people, and I could kind of not forgive about that.
I mean, I would be.
I mean, that wasn't that really wasn't. Yeah, I would say that her going after Hope wasn't really like. I wouldn't say that's like entirely within her choice, considering the circumstances she was put in. I'm not saying she was justified in attempting to kill Hope, but with the situation she was put in, you understand where she was coming from.
Yeah, but I also think that it's kind of a.
And also her powers are really cool, and I really like the suit. So like that, I feel like that would be a total waste. And honestly,
Yeah.
I'm just kind of tired of seeing MCU villains being thrown away.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of also it feels weird. It just feels wrong.
I just thought of Ghost initially when I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like, okay, a villain that lived that could just go into obscurity. I'm okay with that. I feel like, yeah, she fell into hard times and circumstances, but it kind of like solved itself in the movie that I didn't have to see her again in anywhere, way, shape, or form.
See, thing, like the interesting thing when I first saw Ant-Man and the Wasp, like one of the things I first thought about was like, oh shit, her character arc is really similar to Songbird.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh wow, you're a young woman who was manipulated into attempting to kill an Avenger, but honestly, would have never done this given just the right opportunity to actually do some good in the world. You're very similar to Songbird, which is why I was like, oh, that's why you're throwing her onto Thunderbolts. But then they actually throw Songbird in the background.
But
like,
back to Ghost in Thunderbird in the Thunderbolts. I liked her as like the kind of like tsundere friend.
She's like she's the Drax. She's the Drax of this team. She's because like going from the first Guardian, Drax. He's just kind of there, and like he's got a few like dry lines here and there.
Well, her thing that I think helped is that she's the one that like, oh, she's left us and then comes back and help. And then her biggest moment is at the end. She was like, no, trust Yelena. Yelena knows what she's doing.
And again, like going back to what I was saying before, and I alluded to it, is like if you look at Ant-Man and the Wasp, like if you saw that movie and you see this, even though she doesn't do much in this movie, if you know her story from Ant-Man and the Wasp, the fact that she's not choosing to run away when she ran away her entire life, that's pretty fucking huge character development.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that. I agree with it. Personally for me, I would have been okay if she wasn't shown again. Seeing the character progression is a nice bonus, but it's like asking for an extra side of sauce to a already major meal. You know what I mean?
I mean, and also like think about it from a team team composition standpoint. Like they made the joke about it, but it's true. She's the only one that can do something other than point and shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Fair, I agree with that.
They need her on the team. They need her on the team in terms of just ability composition. Just like the Guardians needed Drax because Drax is their biggest source of muscle. Yeah, Groot's pretty strong, but Drax is more of your direct combat threat.
Mm-hmm. Give him his 2 daggers.
From think about it from like both a comic writer and a movie writer standpoint. Like if you're gonna need something to throw in. You need that extra flavor because otherwise all these characters are kind of just the same.
And I agree
with different character motivations.
I'm just saying from my perspective, I was pleasantly surprised to see her here again. I was under the assumption that I was never going to see this character again, and I would have been okay with not seeing her again.
Oh yeah, same.
If that were the case.
Same. What we were saying is just more just so that we were glad that she showed up. Like I that like she was a character that I didn't expect, and like when she was first announced, I was like, huh, okay, where's this gonna go? And actually seeing it in action, I was like, okay, this worked well for what it was. And like again, like it continued her story without having to dedicate time to her because like it's all in the action more so than just expositional dialogue for her, and I appreciated that. Cause like
and the fact that she kept coming back.
Recovering motifs, it's important.
Honestly, it also felt, but sometimes it felt like they just tried to they didn't know what to do with her, so they just got rid of her by saying, oh, she's gonna go find something else to do at certain points.
Yeah, no, I mean there were definitely situations where it's like, all right, she could be really useful here, but they wrote her out so this wouldn't be too easy.
Or the fact of Val has an anti-ghost thing.
I mean, which makes sense. That's like she's Temu Waller. That totally fits for a Waller type character.
Oh my god,
she's so
Waller.
And also she put that stupid freaking countdown machine inside the space where they were at.
Yeah, no, that was
that was like comically evil, like as if it was freaking
oh yeah, no,
Dr. Evil kind of evil.
Yeah, that was definitely some Saturday morning cartoon shit. I don't like how Valentino was handled at all. I like that that's my biggest thing that's not like just nitpicks. I don't like how Valentino was handled. But yeah.
I think kind of
Louis-Dreyfus did a good job with what she was given, but no.
The character herself was a very arrogant and self-assured individual, and she was under the impression that, hey, as long as I wipe my hands clean, get rid of the evidence, I am golden.
also, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of hoping the character has no ties to this country in the comics. She's just a random European countess, but I was kind of hoping that she was gonna be Latvian when we got that flashback.
Nope.
But what?
But hey, at least homegirl from Born Again was Latvian.
Yeah.
No, she was Latvian.
She was Latvian,
It was
Oh, Latvian.
which
My
is
bad.
which is an actual country that exists.
Yeah,
I
and
thought they were saying that she was Latvian.
Nope,
My
nope.
bad, y'all.
Not.
what the fuck?
It's okay, Brian.
Sounds
And
similar.
yeah, but the thing is, they did add a little bit of comic telling in his backstory where her dad died because he was Italian.
Yep.
But the context is different.
Mhm.
In the comics, Valentina's father was associated with resistance movement during World War II Italy.
Yep. He was fighting against Mussolini's forces.
In the comics, doesn't she also have the forever formula?
Yeah, she has the Infinity Formula because she's like Nick Fury's love interest.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, she's.
I said the wrong name, but
No, I got you.
that's what I meant.
But yeah, she.
Yeah.
So for non-comic fans, she's essentially Nick Fury's pussy galore.
Mhm.
Like
And-
In the comics, her, Nick, and Natasha, and I think a couple others have this thing called the Infinity Formula, which
it's her, Nick, Nat, and Dum Dum Dugan.
And Bucky,
Oh yeah, and Bucky. That's why Bucky doesn't age either.
because he got kind of like a weird fake version of the Infinity Formula when he became a part of,
Yeah, a
Winter
part of the Winter Soldier program. Yeah.
at least in the comic.
Yeah.
yeah. In this one,
they
he just
don't-
got
they-
Hydra's
They just
knockoff Super Soldier Serum.
which I thought was a nice touch. I wish they would have gone into more detail about like the Russian super soldier program and stuff, because like that shit is so interesting to me, and I especially love, and this is to segue into another character, the clear amount of hero worship Alexei has for Bucky is so cute.
Mhm.
Like the fact that he always refers to him as Mr. Soldier is
Yeah, that was always good.
adorable.
And his reaction to when Bucky finally went full Winter Soldier.
He didn't go Winter Soldier. He went, let's be honest, he went Arnold Schwarzenegger from Terminator 2, because they stole that straight out of Terminator 2.
Yeah, they did.
True.
Motorcycle, shotgun, sunglasses, robot arm.
Like, I think even the music was similar.
Yep.
And the funniest thing about that, right? During that whole sequence, fucking Sebastian Stan would listen to the T2 moment just as he's riding on that motorcycle.
Right? Oh man.
I mean, I don't blame him.
And also, it's a dope ass skin in Marvel Rivals. I'm not gonna lie. I don't play Bucky, and every time Bucky was doing stuff, I just kept yelling in my head, again.
Again. No,
yeah.
actually, whenever he did something, I always did it like the freaking thing that he did in like that viral post that he did where he's just like armed and dangerous again.
Oh man.
And it was hilarious. But with Alexei, this is a man who is just outside his prime, just living a life that he's like this truly patriotic Soviet character.
And he's also just a goofy dad, which I love all that stuff. Such a goofy dad.
Yeah.
Speaking
And
of that,
they-
why is it that they decided to make it so that they didn't talk for like a year? I don't think it would be in his character, right? That he would have
See-
obviously
well,
tried to talk to her. No?
If you watch Black Widow, Alexei is just not good at talking to people, and he doesn't know how.
Yeah.
He's very bad at approaching people. Like, you know, Nat was like, and you know, this is very common among families in general. There's all like, I know this is a thing in my family. Like, there's always the one person that organizes all the family stuff, and that, like, to bring like the family together. Otherwise, like, just certain parts of the family don't talk, not because they don't love each other, but just because shit's busy. Like, you know, people just have lives, and you know, people just get lost in work. I mean, and that's what happened to Yelena. She kind of just got like kind of stuck in this cycle, and you know, part of the onus is on her too, that she didn't, you know, speak to her dad either. So like, it's a two-way street kind of thing. I don't see it as like either of their faults. They kind of needed to talk to each other.
And I also felt like they were both just different types of like like grief responses.
Mhm.
Hers was pushing herself into work. Him was like trying to drink it away.
And to shut everybody out, like, you know.
And he said himself that he was giving her the space that he thought
Yeah,
she needed.
and he thought that was what was necessary for her, because he knows like what kind of a tough person she is, and that she's not very good with emotions, and so he's like, if I try to force her to do it now, she might not be ready for it, so like I'm just gonna, you know, give her
Yeah,
time.
because in a Black Widow there was him, Nat, Yelena, and there was
mom.
also a mom.
Yeah, their mom.
And the mom and Natasha were the more like get everyone together, talk, everything. While Yelena and Nikolai Alexi, sorry, that brain. Why'd you say that? Alexi are both like the more standoffish people.
They're more of a show love through action than words.
Yeah, like the whole fact of when he heard that Yelena was in trouble.
Oh,
he drove all the way over.
That was so good. He's honking the horn. Yelena, Valentina is trying to kill you.
I'm actually surprised he was able to find them.
I mean, he's also a trained espionage expert. He looks like a goober, but he is a trained soldier and espionage expert.
Yeah, because we found out that part of the reason why they have such a huge family collection is because the four of them were undercover for years as a family in various different situations. But when they were undercover, he was actually doing spy work and was like a legit spy.
And also the how he found them was because he like overheard the coordinate that Valentina gave out.
And also remember, he didn't know that they were standing right there. He was just yelling out into the field, hoping that she was there.
Yep. Yeah, he didn't know they were there.
Imagine if the military personnel would have heard them.
Oh yeah. I mean, again,
also,
that
was another stupid thing. So why is it that Valentina was speaking like out loud in this place? She knows that he's the Red Guardian, that's the limo service that she has, and that Yelena's his daughter.
Again,
as a CIA agent, she should have known that.
I think that was just arrogance and oversight on her part. She just underestimated him because she thought, oh, he's just a washed up fat loser. He's not gonna do anything.
Yeah,
but then at the end of the movie, she says like he says he's the Red Guardian, and she says who?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like again, washed up fat loser. And he even showed that he didn't really amount to anything. Like, you know, he talks a big game, but he really didn't do much. He is not Captain America. He was not actually known everywhere. He was making all that shit up. He never got to experience action. It was clear from like how he was like with all that just listful looking into the distance. Like,
so was it Captain America what they wanted Captain America to be?
Oh yeah.
He's a cheerleader.
Yeah, he was literally just the guy in the costume like in the propaganda commercials. He wasn't actual Captain America. That's why she said who, because she didn't live in Russia.
And that's also why in the joke mid-credit scene, she didn't recognize him on the thing because she didn't know who he was even before the average American.
Oh man, the Wheaties box thing had me dying. I'm not gonna lie, that shit was fun.
And so here's the thing about that. Valentina only knew that saw him as a cab driver. That was just him.
Cab driver. Yeah, that's what she knew him as. She didn't know about the whole Red Guardian thing.
Like that also goes to show you just like how much she is arrogant and in her own world.
Yeah.
That she didn't even register that was her limo driver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the point I'm getting at here. And
sorry,
there was like in Alexi's house, you do get to see a bit of that propaganda thing that Jay was talking about, because they actually used Soviet footage from the 80s and just made a younger Alexei in the background just waving.
Which fun fact, that little faction there, the Red Guard or the Winter Guard, also known as Siberia Force, was also a faction that recruited a farm boy from a very small town in Russia by the name of Pyotr Rasputin.
That's right.
But young Pyotr was rescued by a bald man in a wheelchair before he got conscripted. And then
That's right.
and then he's like, wait. My only condition to go with you, American man, is if I take my sister with me. And he's just like, oh well, turns out she's a mutant too. She's coming with us.
Funny enough, I for some reason thought you were gonna make a Superman Red Sun reference.
Nope, Colossus slash magic, I guess. But yeah, Piotr was almost recruited into that same program, but he was rescued by Charles Xavier before then. Technically, he and Ileana were rescued by Charles Xavier before they were recruited into that program.
Which you want to look into?
Unfortunately, his older brother wasn't, which is why he turned out to be a bad guy.
Yeah, but you want to look into some cool obscure characters. Look into the Winter Guard in the comics.
Oh, dude, I was really hoping that he was gonna go on like a tangent and be like, oh man, I had this teammate. His name was Ursa Major. He transformed into a giant bear. He was amazing.
Yes, he was.
But not as amazing as you, Winter Soldier.
Would have been so awesome. The other man, this also just makes me sad that Bucky and Nat were never a thing, because they're one of my favorite couples in the comics.
Miss Barnes.
Yeah, Bucky and Natasha are one of my absolute favorite couples in the comics.
Did they even like interact in the MCU?
No, they interact in Winter Soldier, but only so much in the fact that she's there when Bucky, like, when Steve has his showdown with Bucky. Yeah.
They fight when he's programmed.
Yeah, they never have any meaningful conversation post deprogramming, which upsets me so much.
Yeah.
Because, like, damn it, Joss Whedon, why did you have to force this weird random Hulk Black Widow ship when we could have got something that actually made sense?
And then they just never used Hulk again.
They did also never.
That weird deleted scene where they had like that bonding moment over the fact that neither of them can kids.
That was really dark and unnecessary. Like, all right.
Thanks.
I didn't need that. Cool. But yeah, so that's Alexei.
I really liked what they did with his hero stuff, that he ended up getting his hero moments and stuff too.
He actually got to be the hero that he wanted to be instead of just a propaganda piece.
That like debris umbrella thing that he did.
Oh man, the moment when that little girl was taken away, I gasped out loud. I was like,
I unironically felt like that was supposed to be a joke.
No, that wasn't a joke. That was taken seriously.
I don't know. Maybe I just read it wrong.
I legit gasped. Like, several people in my theater gasped out loud. I saw it on Thursday, like on the opening night, and several people in my theater were like, oh, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, that really shocked me. Like, I was surprised that he didn't just try to run and jump at the void.
Yeah, same. But yeah, speaking of which, okay, let's talk about Yelena first, and then we could talk about good old Bob. She was fantastic. Like, she's the heart and soul of this movie. Without her, this movie just doesn't work.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, I was not expecting a Marvel movie to start off with a depression monologue.
Right? That sounded like some shit straight out of BoJack Horseman. Oh man. Like, but yeah, she was just so great in this. It was such a good continuation and completion of her character arc from Black Widow. Like, honestly, this is one of those ones, like, Black Widow was just an okay movie to me when I first saw it. Like, it was good, but I was like, I wouldn't have saw this in theaters anyway. I'm glad this was only released on Disney Plus. But like, now that this has come out, this has retroactively really improved Black Widow. Aside from obviously the Taskmaster issue we talked about before, it really elevates Black Widow. Like, it means so much more now. Because, I mean, like, that was the biggest issue I had with Black Widow. I was like, man, her shit still feels really unresolved with Nat. We're just gonna leave this hanging? But we got our answer here. Like,
yeah, and the fact alone that we got the, we learned in Hawkeye that she got blipped.
Yep, and so she completely missed it, and she didn't even get to fight alongside her sister before she, sacrificed herself. That sucks.
Like, she didn't even get to know the Avenger hero version of Nat.
Yeah, that oh man, such a heavy toll. And I mean, like she was just so good, and like having her as a protagonist, I think really helped focus the movie. And like, yeah, there were definitely parts where it meandered, and I think a lot of the like stuff connected to Valentina was dumb. And again, I will reiterate, I hate what they did with Valentina. I think it really sucked. Like that is the big detractor from this movie that keeps me from like putting it as high as it could be. Because like I really enjoy this movie, and she's a big part of that. And I gotta say, the other big part of that is our boy Mr. Robert Reynolds, the Golden Guardian, the Silver Century, or I said the Silver Century, the Century. I'm so used to I love alliteration so much. I added silver even though he's gold. But man, I love what they did with this character, and I love that he's like his powers are different, because like in the comics he's just Superman. He's literally just Superman. He's just Superman with an evil Superman move, whose like #1 move is tearing people in half, which is why I was like, somebody's gonna get torn in half. That's what he does. That's his signature move.
Yeah, but here's the thing about that though. Let me add a few points to Yelena. She was like the driving force of the film itself, and I really enjoyed that part. But technically, Jay, you're wrong about MCU Sentry.
Huh?
Even though he doesn't have the bisectioning fetish that Comic Sentry has, he actually has all of Comic Sentry's powers.
No, no. What I'm saying is they changed his powers with the shadow stuff. I know he had all of Comic Sentry's powers. I'm saying I like how they changed his powers with like the shadow darkness shit. That's not in the comic.
No, that isn't. But
that's what I was talking about. I was saying I was saying that like, you know, Comic Sentry is just Superman without any of the shadow manipulation darkness stuff. That's the new thing. The shadow manipulation darkness stuff is what they added, and I really like that they did that, because it's such an interesting thing, not only visually, but it really helps to play into the metaphor. Like, I knew that he has all the Comic Sentry powers. The thing that I was saying that was different was the shadow stuff.
Well, the thing about the Void, at least my understanding, is that both Base Sentry and the Void can manipulate reality.
Yes.
And why not change that reality warping into more like doing shadowy tendrils? I like that idea.
Oh yeah, no. Like I said, it's a very interesting, distinct visual change, which I think improves Sentry, because like, you know, Comic Sentry is just Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah, Superman that can.
And
Superman. Oh, he's just Superman Prime.
Or like Silver Age Superman.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Yeah. Pre-crisis Superman.
But,
that can literally do anything.
But yeah, Jay, like to the fact where honestly, before watching it, I thought that's how we lost Taskmaster.
Yeah,
was split in half.
I thought she was gonna get ripped in half too, because that's kind of his thing. I also thought, like, and this was a theory that, like, you know, we all came up with kind of on panel. Crash wasn't here, but the three of us, we were like, okay, so the only way they can defeat Sentry is for them to talk Sentry into unaliving himself, because that's usually what they have to do to get rid of Sentry.
So when he dies, does he just stay dead, or does he come back somehow?
No,
Somehow Palpatine returns?
It depends.
It's a metaphorical death. So the initial comic that introduced the Sentry introduced a concept of pressing a memory of the Sentry.
Yeah, so he essentially wrote himself out of existence within the minds of the entire Marvel universe. So he was around, but everybody forgot him. It wasn't until like those memories were reawakened that the Sentry got his powers back and the Void returned. And then there's a whole complicated mess with like World War Hulk and then Civil War, and then he does eventually get killed, and he stays dead until he becomes a Horseman of Apocalypse, and then he gets killed again. And
now he's come back as a different person.
He's still dead. It's his energies has essentially like reincarnated as this new female Sentry, from what I understand. I did not read the follow-up miniseries, but that's what I got from like the SparkNotes version I got from the YouTube video.
I do know that there was a like who is the new Sentry, and that there were multiple candidates.
Yep.
Yeah, but the point that I'm getting at here is that they do kind of an esoteric way of keeping the Void at bay, where they did the comic representation of his first appearance where they repress that facet of Robert Reynolds' identity, but using it through him basically kind of confronting the traumas of his life.
Fucking, I love that shit. They literally pulled a persona and had him like full on Carl Jung confront his shadow self.
And one thing I love about the design choice they made for the Void, they kind of made him into an entity that he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
The Void itself, in comic lore at least, is an entity that doesn't have a definable origin. It can be something that Robert has always had internally, or an actual entity in and of itself.
Yeah, that part is always ambiguous. You never know if the Void is something of Robert's own creation, or if this is something that possessed him when he ended up getting the powers of the Century.
But I like that ambiguity is still here, but it takes a different form. It takes the form of like trauma and mental health because of how his life ended up.
Yeah, see, I don't think it's like, I think they actually made this version more definitive, where like this is very much more clearly a product and separation due to like a combination of psychosis and the experimentation.
Yeah, and the super serum that by some machination Valentina got her hands on.
Yeah. Like, but I actually think that's better, because like the ambiguity really works for comics, because comics play really well in the kind of esoteric realm. But with a movie, it's kind of hard to convey that. So doing something more straightforward like makes it easier to understand, and like it really helps to sell the metaphor of the constant battle with depression everybody has to deal with, who suffers clinically from depression at least. You know, like it's because like, you know, no matter how good your days are, there's always gonna be that voice in your head that's like, oh, you stupid piece of shit, you don't deserve to be here. What the fuck is your problem?
Yeah, and here's the thing about like the interpretation that Thunderbolts, or shall we say New Avengers, take the Void is very different from the comic. The Void is just kind of like, it's designed, it's very spindly to a degree.
Oh yeah, it has almost like a Slender Man-esque design, and I really like that.
Yeah, but here in New Avengers, it is just a darker reflection of the Century.
Yeah,
like it's devoid of any light except for two pinpoint eyes, which really creepy. Very distinct visuals. Like, and again, really solid metaphor.
It's very Hereditary in that sort of sense.
Yeah, I was definitely getting the vibes of Hereditary from that.
I have not seen that movie.
You've never seen Hereditary?
No.
I've never seen it either.
Well, I mean, Brian's a huge horror buff. Dude, oh my god, you've got to see Hereditary. That shit is great.
Which, didn't that also star Florence Pugh?
She's in it?
No, that was Midsommar.
No, Midsommar was Florence Pugh. Dane DeHaan, I think, is Hereditary.
Yeah. So the point that I'm getting at here is like Paimon in Hereditary is viewed in a kind of similar vein. I may not be 100% on that front. Jay can either correct me or back me up on this front and see where I'm going.
Okay.
It's more so the press of Paimon in Hereditary that I compare the voice to.
I can't hear Paimon without thinking of Genshin.
Understandable.
Yeah, I know, but
yeah, like it's kind of this like constant looming threat / monster, which is honestly what depression is. Depression is that fucking monkey on your back. Like it will never leave you alone, no matter how much you want it to. It's always gonna be there, fucking knocking at your door when you're having your best days, and it's just like, hey bitch, remember me? I'm still here.
You think you deserve this?
I'm gonna ruin your day.
Hey bud, you seem to be having a great day. Things are going well for you. Let me remind you how much of a piece of shit you are. That's what depression is, folks, and it sucks. And that's what the Void is.
Or in this certain individual's case, can you really trust people?
Exactly.
You've been burned.
And that's another thing that I think is interesting that the Void reflects, and with the trauma rooms, is that depression manifests differently in different people. And I think it's again really fucking cool. And what a great message this movie has of, like, you know, seeking out a support system, you know, finding friends that you can talk to about your shit that you fucking, you know, bonded with through, you know, maybe through shared trauma, maybe through shared interest, maybe, you know, through community or all that stuff. Like, it's such an important message, and it's been so long since Marvel Marvel has put out a movie that is actually saying something, which like is one of the biggest points in its favor for me, and which is why I rate it so high. And I think that's a good time to transition into final thoughts and ratings. Oh, you got one last thing?
Yeah, I got a funny joke to kind of compare most modern Marvel film.
Okay.
It's a Linkara joke.
All right.
And it's a shitty make at the expense of Cry for Justice. Should we do something? Should we do something? We should really do something.
Oh man, the Cry for Justice video was great.
Yeah, and also one other thing that I want to mention real quick is the serious post-credit scene.
So excited.
We fucking called it.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
1 for 1. We straight up called it.
Spaceships in the sky.
Man.
And also the music. Like, I don't care if people are gonna blame me for this. This is the best musical score that Fantastic Four has ever had.
I mean, it's just an orchestral version of the 90s cartoon, but fuck it. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, we also saw how they did the orchestral version of the X-Men stuff.
Exactly. It works. Fucking...
It does. And also, why the hell would they be fleeing their universe or be in the main universe unless they had to?
Yep. I also think Baby Franklin is gonna be walking around with a little ball, calling that right now.
Which, for those that don't know, our theory for the longest time was that Galactus was going to be successful in Fantastic Four, and that it would end with the Four fleeing to the main universe.
And you know, my little added caveat to that is, if Franklin does end up being born, I think one of his first acts, very similar to what he did when Onslaught attacked, you know, when he was like an actual like conscious child, is that he's gonna take that universe and like fucking turn it into his snow globe, and he'll just be carrying it around as like a baby rattle or some shit.
Is he really that powerful?
Yes, Franklin Richards literally took all the Marvel heroes that were killed by Onslaught, which is a psychic being created by the malice and hatred of Magneto, and the frustrations and kind of like hidden bitterness of Charles Xavier, into one giant psychic monster. He annihilated the entire Marvel universe. Franklin then takes those heroes, puts them in a snow globe pocket universe called the Heroes Reborn universe, which is where we get Big Titty Captain America, and a bunch of other weird 90s versions of characters that we'll never see again.
But yeah,
is it something that you hope that you'll never see again, or?
Honestly, I'll take seeing Double D Captain America. It's just funny.
Yeah, and here's the thing, Franklin.
I see what you did there.
Franklin is somebody who his status as a mutant has been nebulous in recent years, but he was born a mutant because he's the son of mutates.
Yep, he is. And it has been confirmed recently that Franklin is in fact a mutant, and his classification is that he is a shaper of worlds.
Yep, he is an Omega level, so powerful that Galactus is afraid of him. That to the extent when this version of Galactus dies, he will pass on his power cosmic to Franklin.
Well, to be more specific, because I know the scene you're referring to, because I read Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four. Galactus specifically says to Franklin, you and I will be the last beings to exist when this universe dies, and at that moment we will combine and then move on to the next universe. Because that is actually what happened to Galactus. For those of you guys who don't know, Galactus was just a random space explorer dude named Galen, and then Galen survived the ending of his universe, and through the energies of the Big Bang that created the 8th universe, or the current 616, he coalesced into Galactus and was given the role within Marvel cosmology as the Devourer of Worlds. It's a whole big thing. Really fucking awesome. Cannot wait for Fantastic Four. I love the Fantastic Four so much.
Yeah, so
you can't win them all.
That was giving you an example how powerful Franklin is. He is cosmically terrifying.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that he's actually actually going to be arriving in the MCU. We know that as a fact.
Yeah, the fact that he's going to be born in the MCU is crazy. Because, like, something tells me that he's going to be born in the MCU. Like, she's gonna deliver him when they, like, cross over or some shit.
Yeah, and be this most powerful entity. And I speculate that he will be a plot device for Doom.
Oh, 100%. I honestly think, because, like, I'm especially with you now after we saw that post-credit scene, I think personally that, for the whole Secret Wars thing, Franklin is going to take the place of the Beyonder. Where like Doom is going to siphon the power from Franklin and then, you know, become God Emperor Doom. Which, you know, from how the Marvel Universe is looking right now in the comics, honestly, I think we should have given Doom control of the universe, at least Earth, a long time ago, because Earth is actually running pretty great, aside from Dormammu about to attack us. But I'm sure Doom's got it. He's prepared. He's Doom. He'll be alright, I guess.
Doom does as he pleases.
I'll find out next week. But yeah, so...
And you'll find out on the Comic Chaser afterwards.
Exactly. But back on topic, final thoughts and ratings. We will actually go the opposite. We'll go the normal line progression. We'll do me, Tony, Brian, and then end off on our guest track. Okay, so me, yeah, my score pretty. Even after talking about this, and hopefully I've articulated my points well enough, and like I'm showing that I put actual thought into this, and I'm not just blindly glazing this movie. Because I have really thought about this. I've thought about this movie almost non-stop since seeing it, and it's been in my brain for a while now. I give this shit a 9, man. Like, there's still a lot of stuff that is that I think is dumb, especially with like Valentina, that like brings it down to that full point. But like everything else, like this movie has done everything I've wanted a Marvel movie to do in so long, and to not give it that praise with how well the message was handled, with how well it was acted and performed, like with how well the story came together with all these, like, you know, different character arcs from different pieces of media, which is something Marvel has failed at since Infinity Saga. They used to do it so well within the Infinity Saga. This is the first time I was like, oh, this connects really well from this thing. I actually got a lot more out of this piece of media because thanks to this movie. Like I said, it really elevated Black Widow for me with Ant-Man and the Wasp, like, which is a movie I thought was just good. Like we got to see Ghost character development, and though it wasn't much, it was enough to be like, I actually want to see more of her, and I can't wait to see how she bonds with these lovable goobers. Bucky's Bucky, we love Bucky. Alexei, again, elevated Black Widow, and Sentry / Bob, what a great character. You know, he could you know, so many times in these MCU movies, even in ones that I like, characters like Bob could have easily just been a MacGuffin. To use an example of a movie that I absolutely cannot stand, that butchered a villain that I love from the comics, Thor: Love and Thunder, Gore the God Butcher was just a plot MacGuffin. Sentry / Bob Reynolds was a character, and this is what separates, you know, pardon the pun because our friend is here, the trash from the gold. So I'm sticking to my guns and giving this one a 9. This just like made me have faith in the MCU again, which is honestly something I did not think would happen, if I'm being honest with myself, but it did, so that's huge for me. Tony, you're up.
Well, I'm going to be half a point below you, Jay. It's an 8.5 for me. It improved things, but after hearing Crash's perspective, it made me really think about more so underlying problems that I had with it. Like with Valentina's bargain bin, Nick Fury, Timu Waller as shenaniganery, I wasn't like vibing with it completely.
Oh yeah, same. I definitely agree on that part.
And it's still good. It's still something that the MCU needed, but the one thing, there's just something missing.
Also, the reason I gave it a 9 and 8.5 is because I looked back and we gave Captain America, as in everybody but Trash, I gave Captain Captain America for an 8.5.
Oh,
That's fair.
no, we didn't.
Oh, we didn't? I was wrong?
Yeah,
Okay,
'cause,
Brian, you have the spreadsheet. Yeah, tell me the data.
Brave New World. We all four were in.
Was it 7.5? Did we give it
No.
a 7.5? Was it lower?
We all gave it a flat 7.
Oh, it was a flat 7. Okay, never mind. Continue. I was wrong. My bad. Got the numbers mixed up.
Yeah, it was a standard. It's an improvement, but it's an improvement that I wanted to be just a tad bit better, if you get what I'm saying.
Fair.
Because there's something that was missing. I can't really put my finger on it. If they just changed a few things here and there, I think it would have been a hell of a lot better.
Okay. Brian, what about you?
So, actually, believe it or not, I'm kind of a bit of a reverse of Tony. In the fact that you already spoiled your ratings to me when you first saw it, Jay.
Yep.
And when I first saw it. And I walked out of the theater thinking that I was going to give it an 5. But talking about it with you guys and like talking it out for me, I mainly realized that beyond like the Valentina of it all, that most of my other negatives were just nitpicks.
Yeah, see, and
so,
that's where I was. That's why I came to the conclusion I did.
So I think in the end, for me, I'm going to bump mine up after talking and like give it the flat 9 as well.
Okay. All right. Last but certainly not least, our guest, Mr. Trash. Final thoughts and rating.
Let's see. I forget what I gave Captain America though.
7?
I think I gave it like I'm pretty sure I gave it like a 3 or something. I doubt I gave it a 7. I think I gave it like a 3.
Oh, that's right. My bad. I was looking at the averages for the 4.
Yeah.
You gave it a 4.
Did I give it a 4? Okay, then I'll give this one a 4.5. Only because there are a lot of problems with it that really irked me. And honestly, there were a lot of things that I wanted to say, but because of the limited time, I wasn't able to. So because of that, my overall score is a 4.5, mostly because it's better than Captain America Brave New World. It does like some things wrong. It has like a bunch of plot contrivances and stuff. And the thing that I will give it credit for is that I was not bored during it. I actually had fun at certain moments. I enjoyed my time with the characters. I'm glad that they decided to screw it. I'm gonna take it to a 5. It's an average film.
I was gonna say
mostly because you know what, it did something different.
Real quick, I was gonna say it feels weird that you like hated Captain America 4 so much, but you gave a lot more praise towards this movie, and you're only giving it half a point up. That feels a little weird.
That's mostly because of what it did with like some other stuff. That's why that really irritated me, especially the fact that you could just create godlike beings now and stuff like that. It's like it's just like there's some things that outweigh the pros that mellows out.
And I get that. Like, you know, if you're not coming from this as a comic fan and not knowing that this kind of stuff just happens, it's harder to accept.
Pretty much. And I'm coming from the view of that, and then also I didn't see the context for a lot of this stuff, so maybe because I didn't see this film didn't do it as much either.
I totally expected your score to be a lot lower because you don't have a lot of the context.
I didn't watch Black Widow. I didn't watch Echo. I didn't watch
Echo. You don't need Echo for
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye is the
Hawkeye.
That one. That way we go. And I didn't see a few other ones, I think. And so because of that, I feel like I probably missed some things maybe. But that also comes as a problem because you shouldn't have to do like a lot of homework for it.
I agree. That's just been that's been a problem with the MCU since day one. Is like they require homework. Like that's an MCU problem that's no one's ever gonna escape, honestly.
Yeah, but it's not something that they could try and do.
It's kind of too built into the formula to steer away from now. It sucks to say, but it's kind of just the thing that they do.
Yeah, but I feel like the writers could do better. Like if you have really good writers, you don't have to worry about that. But anyways, that's basically my like whole thing, I guess.
Okay.
But regardless or not, you guys convinced me to at least get it to a 5. So congratulations for that.
All right. Okay. So with that, Brian, could you please tell the lovely folks at home what they can expect from next week's episode of the Channel Chasers podcast?
Well, we're kind of doing something in the similar vein of something that we talked about in Screen Time. We're actually going back to Greece for this, and we are going to be covering the 3rd and final season of Blood of Zeus.
Yeah, baby, you talk about godlike beings. Ain't no gods like the Greek gods. I'm so excited. If you guys have been following us, throughout our coverage coverage of Blood of Zeus, that second season had one hell of a cliffhanger ending. So
Like one of the biggest cliffhangers of all time, honestly.
yep, and they're gonna finish this. The craziest thing to me is they're gonna finish this in 8 episodes. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I'm excited.
I don't know either. I mean, even if they told me that the season was like 12 episodes, I still...
Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff. But yeah, I'm super hyped for it. I know Tony is as well, and as you can see, Brian is also. And once again, thank you, Trash. We always love having you on, man. It's been great.
No, of course. Thank you for having me. Like, I really, honestly, you guys, I really appreciate it. I love talking with you guys, and I actually appreciate. I always appreciate how you give me, even with my takes, you give me at least some leeway and stuff.
It's and like it's always respectful. Like we may get passionate and heated during discussions, but that doesn't mean we're like fuck you and your opinion. Like your opinion is your opinion. I'm not gonna be able to change that.
And that goes for everyone out there too. See, everyone can have their own opinion and respect it. So always make sure to do that.
For sure.
At least for the around Trash, I was more on your side than anything.
No, I know, that's why I appreciate it. And like, I'm just glad that it wasn't just empty wind that I was saying.
Oh yeah, we were definitely hearing you out, and you made a lot of good points. Like honestly, like I had a problem with the Valentina thing, but it wasn't until you really brought it up that I'm like, you know what? Yeah, no, that really did suck.
And that's why it brought the film down like a whole point all by herself.
Because like Brian said, personally for me, and I'm sure this was like on his like we were on the same wavelength with this. Like I had tons of other problems, but like in the grand scheme of things, these were all just small nitpick. Like I don't think they like overall detracted from me having fun. What I personally use to determine my point scale, and this isn't me saying this is what you should use to determine point scales in the future, people or just anybody on panel, but personally, like what I use to determine it is like, did I have fun? Did I enjoy this movie? Did I walk out of there like satisfied and wanting to see more of this? If most of those boxes are checked off and I just have like one major problem, I take off a point. But
granted, I do look forward to seeing what they do with it at least.
Oh yeah, and that's huge.
Yeah, that is. And also to Jay's point here, people, there have been cases in the past where Jay has said this isn't perfect, but I'm still gonna give it a 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like personal bias will always be a factor, and like I said, the thing with this movie that really kind of elevated it for me is because of that like fan factor. New Avengers was the first Avengers series I ever read, because as a kid the Avengers sucked.
I don't know why, that just sounds really funny to me.
I mean, it is funny, but they really did suck. All throughout the 90s, the Avengers were terrible, and that was when I, obviously it was a kid and I was first starting to read comics. The Avengers were terrible. I did not.
Oh yeah.
I did not start reading the Avengers until the mid 2000s when Bendis put Spider-Man and Wolverine on the team, and I'm like, oh, finally, characters I actually care about.
Because that was the thing is people don't realize is that the prominent characters of the MCU, like Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, they weren't like the prominent characters in the comics.
Which, you know what the funny thing is? I love Tony Stark as a character. I love Steve Rogers as a character. I think Thor is awesome. But for some reason, you put those guys together, and I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, they had good chemistry in the MCU.
No, yeah, they have good chemistry in the comics. I just don't know what it is. I've never been like an Avengers comics guy. Like, even to this day, I don't read Avengers comics. Like, the only time I've ever regularly read it was when it was Spider-Man, Wolverine, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and all them.
By the way, don't know if you keep up comic news, the latest Avengers team.
Oh, the latest Avengers team is fucking stacked.
But it's weird.
It's super weird. I think
it's got Bucky. It's got.
I think having Aurora pitch in for Thor, because Thor specifically requested Aurora, was fucking awesome, and it continues the tradition of inviting fighting one X-Men to join a new incarnation of the Avengers.
Oh,
First it was Beast, then it was Iceman, then it was Wolverine, now it's Storm.
oh, I was talking about the new Avengers.
Oh, you meant the new Avengers. Oh yeah, was Bucky Cap, Luke Cage, Iron Fist.
No, I'm talking about the current
Oh, they have a current
new Avengers
they have-
that was just recently announced.
Oh, they announced the new Avengers. Oh, that one that I didn't know.
It's got Bucky, it's got Amadeus Cho, it's got Laura in it.
Wait, isn't that just the? No, that's the Thunderbolts team.
They changed it to New Avengers for synergy with the movie.
Wow. Cause I saw an ad for that, and in the ad it said Thunderbolt. That's crazy.
Thunderbolts asterisk.
They didn't put an asterisk. That's what throws me off. That's so weird, huh? But yeah, I did see that team. That team does seem interesting. You know what's funny though? Like just one more like random comic tangent fact before we fully sign off. Like Hulk, you know, everybody associates Hulk with the Avengers now, but Hulk has barely been on the Avengers. Hulk has
Like
been
in
on
the original
OG.
OG.
Hulk has been on the Defenders, Doctor Strange's team,
Yeah.
more than he has on the Avengers.
In the original first ever Avengers comic, he was the villain.
And yeah, he was
Or-
antagonist more so. Like
Antagonist.
Loki was the villain who turned Hulk against them. Yeah.
That's right. But yeah, he was the antagonist.
Yeah, Hulk is actually more of a defender than an
And-
Avenger. It's kind of
And
weird.
it wasn't like the like modern situation where it's like, oh, we find out that you were mind controlled. Well, now do you want to join the team?
Yep.
No, Hulk was like, fuck that, I'm out.
Nope. I'm gonna go hang out with this wizard, this fishman, and some other people that occasionally come in here. I
By
don't.
This
Fishman, you
guy
mean
that
Namor?
covers himself in eyes.
The defenders were Doctor Strange, Iceman, Namor, and I think Heracles. No, Heracles was champion. Maybe he was on the defenders too. I don't remember, but yeah, I know Namor. Because they did an homage to
Ghost Rider on the Defenders?
Yeah, it was Ghost Rider. Because they did an homage to it in Justice League, where they had like Solomon Grundy, Hawkgirl, and Dr. Fate and shit. But yeah, so fun fact for y'all: Hulk is actually more of a defender than he ever was an Avenger. She-Hulk is more of an Avenger than Bruce. She-Hulk is actually great in the comics.
The comic.
No, I
version
meant
of
like
She-Hulk.
She-Hulk in the series. That's why.
I will not tolerate comic Jen Walters slander, because Jen Walters in the comic is amazing.
Well, when I say ew, I mean
She honestly was cooler than Hulk for a good chunk of time, because it's very hard to write Hulk. So it took a very long time to have like a stable form of writers. All right, hope you guys have enjoyed this comic talk. If you want more of me yapping about comic books, be sure to tune into my Comic Chasers episodes where I yap about comics every week. But until next time, we will see you guys in ancient Greece. Peace.